We're back. Saturday Night Rumbling. We got the crew in here. We're waiting for a couple more coming in. We got Sean with us. We got the man from down under, man, Copperhead Custom. So anyway, how's everybody doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, very good.
So Sean asked you right before we went online, how much money did you spend on parts this week?
Nothing. $70. I bought a sheet of metal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do what?
Yeah, y'all would be freaking out if you. I paid about $320 for the fuel line from the fuel pump on the side of the 440 up to the carburetors, just for the fuel line.
What?
Little braided one.
The braided one, and then it is a filter in there, but it's just you're only talking about how long is that? Maybe 3.5 foot at the most.
Why so much?
Because that's just how much it is under, I guess, bidenomics. I guess I don't know how come it's so high.
I believe I just run a regular gas line. When it hit that much, I'd be like, "Are you kidding me? I'm gonna run a regular gas line."
I don't want to catch my car on fire.
But I mean, how much pressure is that thing running?
It's low pressure, but like if I ever decide to take it to a drag strip, when they inspect it, if it's you can't have more than, I think, on NHRA rules. I don't know what the AHRA and all them other guys are, but the NHRA rules, if it's an NHRA sanctioned track, when they pre-race inspection, if it can't have more than, I think, 3 inches of rubber hose, and then it has to be that reinforced, like steel braided or whatever braided hose with good fittings and stuff on it.
Well, I've got rubber hose run all over mine. I got it run for the transmission return and everything.
It's not good if you go in race situation with that. That's how you oil down the tracks, or if you rupture a fuel line, worst case scenario, big fire.
How do we get to that? How do you get to that thing that they're doing? I watched that there. I guess yesterday, day before yesterday, down there at Florida, they're doing that Ranger Danger run down there with Bi-Script Garage and all them. How'd I get in on that?
Oh, you're talking about down there at the Freedom Factory? I get whenever when you get enough followers that's following them, and then the people, because as they say, this YouTube community is a big community, and most of the people know each other. But the guys that follow Bi-Script, follow that.
Yeah, but they were some of them guys down there wasn't big YouTube channels. Not all them guys.
If they're that Cletus, if they make it friends, and where Cletus acknowledges them, then he'll pretty much invite them. Then it don't matter how many subscribers they are. I guess he goes by on what they can build or whatnot.
I'd like to get in on that. That'd be fun. Yep. Here comes John Warden. He's good. Yeah, that'd be fun. That truck race. Have you watched that any?
I know he
Copperhead?
No, I didn't watch it. It came up, but I didn't watch it.
Well, there's several different people put videos up of that Danger Ranger. I think it's called Danger Ranger Run or whatever it is. Hey man.
How's it going, guys?
I want to go down there and race that Danger Ranger thing they got going on down there. Where is it at? Freedom Factory? Is that what it's called? Freedom Factory?
McFarland's.
How do we do that? You know anybody hooks up? I'll get us a truck. John, I'm talking to you.
I didn't hear you. Broke up. I heard something factory, something truck.
That's exactly what we said.
Oh, now it all makes sense.
That's what I said. What y'all say? That Freedom Factory thing down there, Bi-Script Garage and all of them's racing down there at that Freedom. What's that guy's name? He's got that big YouTube channel.
Cletus.
Cletus. Yeah.
You know anything about that?
Nope.
I don't know. That looks like so much fun.
Where are they racing?
It's down in Florida somewhere. He bought a big racetrack. They do all kinds of stuff. They do burn. I don't care for burnouts. I think that's a waste of time. But They have a Crown Vic where they race Crown Vics, and then they race Rangers, and they just got all kinds of stuff going on. He actually rented Bristol a couple of weeks ago, and they had a big shoot out there at Bristol. But he said Sean acted like he had to be some kind of YouTube star or something like that. But there was a lot of folks racing. I don't think they were all YouTube stars.
No, no.
They're a lot of them. See, he gets professional drivers in there too, like from NASCAR when some of them Crown Vic races. Now I ain't never watched them because he's done pay-per-view on them and everything, but they're okay, but they've got so much money that's out of my realm, and everything.
Well, them Rangers are cheap, man. I can buy a Ranger for nothing. I'd rather have like the 89. It's got the 2.9 in it. I remember used to have a little Ranger GT 5-speed. That thing would get it, man. It'd roll.
Well, the big thing, like I even if somebody gave you a Ranger, I bet you by the time you went down there and raced, you'd have 10 grand in the weekend.
Hey, you don't think about the money when you're racing. Ask the man from down under will tell you the money don't matter. It's the fun, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be out front, that's where you want to be.
It's like, do you want to race or not?
Yeah.
You've exceeded your free dealing limit.
Hey, some of them out there racing, and there's a couple of them like me and the man from down under. We won't be out front. Yep.
Yeah, we're not there to have fun. We're there to win.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's funny. Guy, I always tell him, when I was racing that last race for Dillon, I said, y'all don't know how many times I watched Smokey and the Bandit. I said, I don't know how to do this. Don't worry about that. But we went over to that's my new fun thing. I'm going over here to the we've got a big resort, Copperhead over here in Young Harris. It's called Brasstown Valley Resort, and they've got horseback riding. And so I got this boy, and he wanted to go down there and look at the horses, and we went down there and looked at the horses. And there was this gal they were trying to load on the horse, and she was almost as big as the horse. And I'm gonna tell you, that's my new thing on Sunday afternoon. I'm going over and watch them load them old women up on the horse.
I've never ridden a horse. Never ridden a horse. They always said I was too big.
Do what now?
I've never ridden one. Every time they went to one of those places where you can ride them, they always said I was too big for the horse.
Really?
They didn't want to put me on them. They said I'd weigh too much.
I don't know. I used to have a horse. Mine was stump broke. I had to find a stump that I could get up on to where I could get up on a horse. I couldn't get up on the thing. That's what I did. But that was so fun to watch them gals. They put them on it. She's pretty good sized young, and I ain't kidding you. They loaded her up on it. I could just see the horse's face when they started loading her up on it. It's like, oh golly, no, I ain't gotta walk.
You Copperhead, if you get here to the North Georgia mountains, between here and Kentucky, somebody's gonna have a horse big enough for you to ride it. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might can ride one of the Budweiser Clydesdales, if anything. I guarantee that.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Go ahead, Steve.
Do you remember? I'm over here on another page reading right here. Do you remember in Australia? See, where's it at? Well, I can find out where it's at. Perth. Am I saying it right? Perth.
Yeah.
Perth.
Yeah.
One of the biggest drug busts in Australian history. Do you remember that? The guy had like 2,200 kilos of cocaine. Do you remember that at all?
Nah.
Been in 2001.
All right.
You don't know anything. You don't remember anything about that?
Nah. They happen all the time.
Yeah, this was I know the guy that got locked up for that.
Oh.
Yeah, I know the guy that got locked up for that.
I don't know if that's his claim to fame, is it?
He's a super guy, man. He's out of prison now, but I got to know him through the radio station. And I love to listen to his stories, man. He was one of the biggest.
He's just high energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they should legalize cocaine over here and not marijuana, because we're all fat and overweight.
Oh, yeah.
If you legalize cocaine, everybody be going to work, man. They wouldn't be none of this laying around eating, But Roger Reeves, he's a good guy. He just, like I said, he got started in it. And he was making $1.5 million every time he made a trip. And I said, why didn't you quit? And he said, it's just like being in a casino, holding down the lever when that thing's spitting out money. It's just hard to let go. It's just hard to let go. But anyway, he lost it all. He ended up going to prison and all that kind of stuff. He's a reformed man, but he's a good guy. But actually, the last bust that he did, he was in Australia down there. He was that was in 2001. and he'd done some time. He pulled 15 years. I think he spent 15 years down at WA prison. That sound right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he spent 15 years there, and now he's back home.
that's on the other side.
Other side.
We're on the east coast. That's the west coast.
Okay, you're on the other side.
Yeah.
So you're on the rich side. I keep forgetting that you're on the rich side of Australia, not the poor side.
Oh, I don't know. Like WA's where all the mines are. A lot of mines. Well, there's a lot of mines in Queensland, but there's a lot of mines in Western Australia. So
Right.
Hey, let me just ask you this, then we'll clear this up real quick. Does all the crazy people live on the west side of Australia? Because that's the way it is here in America. All the crazies live out west.
I don't know. I think there's a fair few down in this side.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Ugh.
That's why we live in the
everywhere.
country.
I like-
Too many. Yeah. I'm not a real people person anymore.
Oh, flat broke garage. We got flat broke garage in
Yeah,
here.
where's
There
my
he
phone
is.
not working?
Hey,
There you are.
how's it going,
I
Bill?
gotta get my volume to work. Come on, phone.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Are we there?
Yeah.
There we
Yeah, I
go.
see you. Yeah,
Ugh,
he's got it now.
too techie. I made it. I'm still up.
You did good. Man, I was going over there the other day over towards Murphy, and I seen a guy in a car just like yours broke down on the side of the road, and I just kept going.
I know that guy. Notice the hood's up.
I said that can't be him.
Oh yeah, I know. It's, how many of these pieces of junk actually exist? Anybody that was smart cut them up. You know.
Yeah,
That's why
That's
it made it
quality.
28 years in a junkyard. Nobody wanted it.
yeah, yeah. That's what they say when you buy a car and it says very rare. That means they couldn't even sell it when it was new.
Yeah. Lots of potential, which means
Yeah.
you're going to work on it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
low mileage means that you can't keep it running.
exactly. It's all the Craigslist definitions, you know.
Yeah,
Fresh rebuild, rattle can.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you.
Ugh.
You know, it's crazy. Used to, they put like sawdust in their rear end, keep them from whining. They's all
Andy
kinds of stuff. You had
Griffith.
one that,
Yeah.
yeah. You had one that smoked. You put, oh Lord, what is that oil you can put in a car that it don't smoke? It'll hit me in a minute. What's that stuff? that used to
Foam or
put-
something.
What's that stuff that kids used to? They make kids drink back years ago when they were sick. What is that called? That oil?
Castor oil.
Castor
Castor
oil.
oil. Yeah, you can fill one up with castor oil. It won't smoke a lick. That's the
It
truth.
used to be that the old oil cans, if you look at some of the old antique oil cans, they print right on them for external use only. Because
Really?
early on, they used to think that drinking motor oil would help clear constipation and stuff like that. They thought it was actually like a
I
home
guarantee
remedy.
it clear something.
I'm sure it probably would. So 2050.
That's why kids wasn't sick back in the day. They make them drink castor oil to make them feel better, and that stuff's terrible. Oh Lord,
Yeah,
man.
they weren't sick; they were just all dead.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't say anything. My wife's in here. What have I done wrong? Hey, babe, what you doing? She's home. Everything got quiet.
Well, we're being respectful. We're waiting to see
Yeah,
you get.
we were talking about women, but now we ain't.
Yeah. I'm looking around trying to be preoccupied. Oh, look, I left my multimeter on, just trying to look like I'm doing something else.
So
Yeah,
what
I
was
was
wrong
waiting
with your car?
Huh?
What was wrong with your car?
Just a coil burned up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
That's
something.
odd.
I'm still running on the exact same junk that was on the car in the junkyard. The points, the coil, plug wires. I did put plugs in it. The fan belt's just like fraying and falling apart. I just drove it 20 miles tonight. I'm an idiot,
No, you're not. That old stuff's 10 times better than what you can buy
I
brand
just
new.
put the plug wires on the T-Bird, and when I took the old ones off, they didn't move. When I straightened them out, they cracked. They're like crack, crack, crack. I was like, that's not.
Yeah, but see, those weren't old. Those were new 10 years ago. So they're
Yeah,
still old.
18 years ago.
Whatever, It was just 5 years ago, right?
Yeah,
If
right.
it ain't broke, don't
Yeah.
fix it. That's what I say.
See, all of you guys on this live right here are trying to do things within budget, but whenever I'm building a build, I spend like Harry and Lloyd until I ain't got no more money. Just like
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I
just
tell you
like
what,
I
though,
was
man,
telling them, $300 and something for the fuel line just from the mechanical fuel pump up to the carburetors.
yeah, it's expensive.
No,
I know one thing I've learned though is if you try to cut corners too much, it ends up costing you too much money in the long run.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, sometimes you're better off just biting the bullet and doing it.
well, and the last 20% takes 80% of the time and money.
That's right. That's why most of my cars aren't painted.
Exactly.
Golly, man, I'm working on that Cadillac right now. It's an 89 Cadillac. It's low miles because they couldn't keep it running, but it ain't got a dent on it. We're trying to get ready to paint that thing. Sand.
Oh, I
Golly,
can't see.
man.
Then after you get it painted and it turns out real beautiful, then you don't want to take it even down to McDonald's to get something to eat in it. Because you know how many hours it took you to make it look that nice, and you're afraid one person just come up and dang right into the door or whatever, all that time wasted and money.
I got a buddy of mine, Johnny Aker. He retired from the body shop, but he's been helping us. And I sand it, and I'm like, okay, we're ready. And he said, no, Lord, no, we're not ready. We've got to hand sand now and this. And I'm like, oh man.
And then we got to start stepping up to about 3,000 grit, just
Yeah, and do it again. He's good though, and it's gonna be nice. Now, I'm gonna sell it. I ain't gonna keep it. I got to get rid of some of these cars. I got too many cars. I hope my wife didn't hear that. She gonna
Yeah, she'll put a yard sale sign out there, won't she?
I don't want her to hear that.
I told my wife the other day, I told John, I bid on a helicopter. My wife went through the roof. She was pissed. I mean, it wasn't even honey. It was just straight right to pissed. You bid on a helicopter. Why'd you bid on a helicopter? I said, they're cool,
Can you fly a helicopter?
I don't know, can I? We're going to have to find out.
Wait, let me rephrase that. Can you land a helicopter? Anybody fly one?
Anybody can land. It's just if you limp away from it or not,
Well, he went up and he came back down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good thing we have wives though, because
I honestly got a friend of mine that is a pilot, and he's like me. He ain't got enough sense to God gave a goose. But one of his things he likes to do is like he sees some of his friends, it's like they're having pool parties or something like that. He'll take that helicopter and he'll go down just close enough to blow everything away. Blow all their furniture off and all that stuff. That'd be so much fun. Well, that not just be so much fun. So when you learn how to fly the helicopter, call me. I got some ideas, man.
Well, I still got to own it first, and she kind of,
Yeah.
You aren't bidding any more on that, are you? Oh no, they took it off the bid thing. They took it out. So,
well, now, Copperhead, I seen you let your secret out. We talked to you the other day, and you was talking about how you done your re-up postering on your seats and stuff. And I seen the episode the other day where you done told everybody how you do it. Now then, you've run.
Yeah, we had to. I don't know. I thought I'd let the secret out.
That's really
So
pretty
what do
cool.
you think of that?
it
All right.
is.
That's a cool idea. Yeah, that's a very cool
I'm sitting
idea.
in it now.
But that's like like the back of the couch is a huge piece of leather.
That's the way to do it. Look at that.
Yeah, he takes old couches.
I know. Yeah.
Right off.
Leather couches.
Yeah.
First time I saw that done was a builder over in California, Ian Roselle. He does full custom garage. He had before he started doing that show, he had a CD out called Back from the Dead, and he was building a little hot rod to bring to Viva Las Vegas, and he drug a old couch out of the dump, and it was weird green and white, like stripes on it. It was pretty gross looking.
That feller's unbelievable what he can do with metal.
He's a very talented man.
Yeah.
He messes with just about everything, which is pretty cool.
Right. He's
I'd like to learn some of that metal stuff. That just seems like it's a lot of time. That boy over here in Hayesville that does it.
Jeb.
Cutworm?
What is his name? Jeb.
Yeah, he's very
Cutworm,
talented.
yeah.
Just a young guy,
He
too.
does that.
You either have it or you don't. you know?
Yeah, he's
well, I
tough.
used to hate doing sheet metal work, but after building that little rat rod and chopping the top on it and everything, it's I'd love to get an English wheel and dive into it a little deeper. You know, it's fun making up that stuff.
I don't know. I think I'm just gonna get
That's what
him
I'm
to do
doing
it.
now. I'm doing the
Yeah,
panels
put
of
him
that
to
of this Oakland.
For the behind the door there.
So you've got
Pardon?
You
oh,
fixing that piece behind the door.
Yeah, I just made one yesterday. So did it. I went and bought a little eBay dive bead roller thing for like $200 or something.
Huh.
And I've just made it all with hammers. The rest of it all just hammers and dollies, and folded it. Like did the folds over the bench, and so I've done one panel. Turned out all right.
so how's it going? How's it going?
Yeah, it looks all right. Yeah, I'll see if I can show you. It's all a bit temperamental in here at the moment.
That's all right.
Oh, everything's falling apart.
I think he froze.
See, he has something I don't, talent and patience.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, man. That's like
Yeah.
painting that car. Golly, bum. John sat there and he was just saying and saying and saying, and I'm just burnt out. I'm like, golly, let's rip the fender off the thing or something.
My attention span isn't long enough to.
All right, now you're back. We couldn't see you though. You froze for a minute. Let's see that again.
Yeah,
You show it to
too
us.
far in the shed. I lose service when I go in, so I can't show you. Yeah, wait, I'll do it a different way. I'll grab the panel. Stick you out here.
Oh, okay.
If I go in the shed, I lose service. Too deep. Right there.
That's a cool looking car, ain't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's an
grill on
awesome
it.
build right there. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
nice.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That looks factory.
It does. It does.
I like the bead at
See
the top, and then that's got a curve in it as well. And then I put a little bead down here,
yeah.
so my other back piece can butt up into it, and then I'll weld it along there.
Cool.
And then there's a bead on the bottom too.
Yeah.
How many hours do you have in that piece?
That took me like an hour and a half.
Not too bad.
Yeah, and all I've
Oh,
got is
wow.
the bead roller, which is up there. There's that little bead roller there. And everything else was
You're
just
gonna-
done with a
Right.
You're going to leave that in metal too, ain't you?
not
not gonna paint?
and after seeing John's one that he painted with the roller, I'm thinking I might just do that.
No overspray. I got no overspray.
That's just like a Harbor Freight bead roller too. You know?
Where I'm gonna just paint it, but not get carried away on it. Like not do all the primers and sanding and undercoats and just paint it like I don't know. Because I got this one here. You see, there's more. There's that one there.
Right.
That's me 32.
Was that a
Oh,
Chevy
yeah.
So
cab?
that one's painted properly.
Okay.
So that's the one that goes on that chassis that's on the rotisserie.
Oh wow.
But that one gets painted like show car paint. So, yeah, I can't have them all painted. Got to mix it up.
I think you have to use epoxy primer and just about all that bare metal, or else whatever paint you're going to put on it won't stick. But I
I've got like this. I got like this kill rust, direct and rust, like you paint straight on rust primer. I was just going to slap that on. It's like a flat red, and then I was just going to throw a coat of something on it. I don't know what.
I think that rig right there don't need nothing but just maybe some, I don't know, semi-gloss clear.
Oh, you reckon do it in clear, bare metal?
Yeah, the buddy of mine, he did a Chevy truck in bare metal. He got the whole thing down to bare metal and then just put a satin clear on it to protect it. And a few months later, there you could see a handprint and rust starting on the sheet metal underneath the paint and underneath the clear. And we got talk about it and everything. He was talking to his buddy as a painter. He goes, that probably happens under every paint job. You just don't see it because there's a pigment over it. But now that it's clear, you see how that's happening. So, it still rusts and you just don't see it.
Have you ever?
So you reckon that original idea was pretty good of just sanding it all down and then clearing it?
Yeah, I think
Hey,
it
that's
looked good.
cool.
Yeah, I think it looked good.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Voodoo Larry?
Yeah.
He did a Zephyr that's all bare metal and cleared. If you could go to his you go to his webpage, see the pictures of that. That came out cool.
Yeah,
I've
easy
seen
to-
cars done, but I haven't seen like anything like this done. That's all.
Right, right. No,
I've
that's
seen, like,
cool
people
though.
with cars, like 60s and 50s cars and whatever, but I haven't seen like a 20s hot rod ever done in clear, just bare metal and clear. That was why I first come up and thought, oh, maybe I should do that, something different. And the main thing was I couldn't be bothered like painting it all, you know.
Yeah.
So
I
one
seen
time the
I
guy,
seen a Model A. I seen a Model A that a guy did a few years ago, but he did it and made it like aircraft, like it was skinned like an aircraft with rivets
Mhm.
oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty dang cool.
I saw
But,
one time where the guy he got the body down to bare metal and then taped off flames and then washed it with like an acid wash to rust the flames and then cleared everything. So it was bare
Okay.
metal with rusty flames.
Well, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Because pool acid does it.
Yeah.
Hydrochloric acid you use to wash your pool, that will rust it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Or saltwater
Or,
bath. Or something like that.
Yeah, or peroxide. You know,
Yeah.
like you bleach your hair. Well, you know, I have that issue bleaching my hair all the time, but
Got a nice head. If I had a nice round head, I'd cut my hair off too. I'm all lobby. I have to wear hats. That rig's got some pretty lines on it, though, man. That's a good looking rig. That's a
the Oakland, yeah. I don't know. It's going to be a big project. Like, I'm getting a bit. I don't know what the word is, because doing these YouTube things, like everyone wants to see results. They all watch these other guys that pump them out in like a week, but they don't realise there's 400 people behind the scenes doing them. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I
that's
talk
Yeah,
12
either
months,
that or there's
12 month project. I think that's like a.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
they could be filming their entire project and holding off on putting it out there until it's done,
yeah.
and then they can just release one video at a time.
The magic of editing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I talked to that guy and when I was in Chattanooga. What's his name, Sean? That guy I talked to that Foose, Chip Foose.
Chip Foose.
You ever watch? Yeah, he was out there and I was talking to him. And he said, you know, they come, he was actually supposed to be in the back. He was just supposed to be one of the guys that build the cars, and they hired that man and woman, you know, that's up front, be the main people, because they were going to go around and get several shops to where they could have a car ready every week. But the problem they run into is they couldn't find one because ain't nobody could do that. Ain't nobody can shovel them things out like that. And like I said, they can't build them things in a week. Ain't nobody can do that. I don't.
No.
You work 24/7. It's too much work to do, and that's kind of why I ended up being what he's got. That Foose and all the different car things,
The overhauling.
yeah, and all that stuff. You know, it's just, but there's no way. But
I
They said
saw-
that when they-
Remember the Jesse James show with the?
Oh yeah,
Remember Jesse James is doing Monster Garage?
Yeah.
When we were on the power tour, there was a movie car museum place somewhere on the way, and they had bought 3 of the Monster Garage cars. And the one of them was that 50 Mustang that was the lawnmower where the doors opened up. And if you actually go and look at those cars, they were put together in a week. They
Yeah.
were, I mean, there's a lot of, the camera hides a lot of stuff. They're horrible.
yeah,
I mean, I couldn't even believe they ran. They're absolutely horrible. The guy goes, we just bought them for display. He said, we can't even get 2 of them to run. He said,
Yeah.
they're just absolute junk. But that's all people want to see on TV. It's just quick results and something that looks flashy. They painted that Mustang in ski boat paint. You know, it looks nice on camera.
Hey, you know when all that started, don't you? It goes all the way back to the Spruce Goose.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he got that
Oh,
thing,
really?
he flew it for maybe 30 yards and then
And
landed
parked
it,
it.
and that was it.
Google Earth.
that Monster Garage is actually Chip Foose. That's where he started at. He said they come to him to be part of that Monster Garage.
Oh, really?
And he said, I thought about it, and he said, you know, I don't want my name connected with junk like that. He said, you know, because I'm a car builder. And he said, I turned it down. He says, the best move I ever made. And then they come to him to start this TV series, but he almost was on Monster Garage with that deal. But I can't imagine, man, why that didn't even make good sense to me why you'd want a Mustang to pick up golf balls, you know? I mean, who comes up with these stupid ideas, you know?
Producers, people that have no idea about cars,
Right.
And they read a lot of Dr. Seuss books. I don't know, you know.
Can we still say Dr. Seuss? I don't think we can say that on there.
Yeah.
I would not build that in my garage. I would not build that. I would not build it over here. I would not build that anywhere.
You look at the
Yeah.
weird contraptions they'd make, you know, and all. It's horrible. Yeah, it's.
I don't know.
That funny story. We went down there to the drag races in Atlanta, and at the Atlanta Dragway, and come back, and we stopped in Cornelia at the steakhouse down there. What's that? Anyway, they've got a bar. They had a
We don't know. We don't eat at steakhouses, but I can tell you where the McDonald's is at down there.
yeah. Anyway, they've got a bar, the Longhorn, and so there was
What's it
people
like on
lined.
the inside of that?
Yeah, the people was inside. You know, the line was outside. They've got a bar, and you can eat at the bar. And anyway, when we went in there to get our number, people waiting to get in there, and hardly anybody was sitting at the bar. And I told my wife, I said, just tell them we'll eat at the bar. So they got us right in, and we got and his ex-wife now, but Alexis Joria, and them people, nobody knew who they was. Everybody was just walking around doing their thing, and I didn't bother them. I let them eat and everything. And whenever they left, the little old bartender that was a server back, I said, "You didn't even know who was sitting there, did you?" No, who was that? I said, "Well, the gal's dad's all of that to Patron alcohol there. Her dad owns all that." And he's like, "What?" I said, "That's Jesse James and Alexis Joria." And that them people didn't have a clue who they was. I thought it was pretty funny. They probably drove up there away from the track, because you know it's just Commerce is just down the road. They probably drove up there to where nobody wouldn't know who they was, so they could eat, not be bothered.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. You know, it's like we was up there with that Chip Foose and them, and they were walking through the crowd just like we were. And, you know, I mean, I guess they're famous people, but they're car people. So, you know, people were more like just shaking his hand and love this car and that kind of stuff. They wasn't just like, "Oh, there's Chip Foose, sign my butt." You know,
I got a great story. I actually met Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top in Vegas.
Right.
And I introduced myself to him, and all we talked about was cars.
Yeah, he's a big car guy.
I asked him, I said, do you own the car from the video, the ZZ Top Coupe? He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It's pretty 80s out." He said, "We just sit there. We don't do anything with it." But I mean, the guy was a cool guy. He talked about Cadzilla and all the other stuff, and his wife was there. I'm like, I said, "I'm sorry, I don't want to bother you." He goes, "You want a picture?" I said, "Honey," his wife's name was Gilligan. I still remember that. His wife's name was Gilligan. He go, "Give me the sunglasses." So he put some Ray-Bans on, did a picture with me. But he said, "Man, nice meeting." He was nice to meet another car guy. And, you know, he was just a regular car guy. I mean, it's Billy Gibbons, which I was still freaked out about. But, yeah, he talked about all his cars and his projects. And he just is an awesome dude. Just
Hey,
really,
Stephen, is the radio station going to be giving away tickets to ZZ Top up here this year?
No, we only give tickets away to the ones they can't sell. And I guarantee it'll sell out. Yeah, but
yeah, I think it's already sold out.
Yeah, I've got some tickets to some people, but I don't know who they are. I don't.
Yeah, the new ZZ Top.
Yeah.
I'm actually taking my whole family there when they come play.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's kind of sad though to think ZZ Top's playing in Hiawassee. I'll just be honest with you. It's just kind of sad to think they're down to here now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything goes up, must come down. But you think ZZ Top? You know, I mean, that's
they did be packing stadiums. Yeah.
It's just like whenever I went to see Hank Williams Jr. Now he says he wants to play the little venues now.
He's just saying that. He's lying.
He's lying.
So you're saying that's like a guy that wants to date ugly women after his wife leaves him?
Let me ask you this question: have you rather put on a 90-minute show and make $30,000, or you'd rather put on a 90-minute show and make $350,000? Now you figure that out. Which one would you rather be at?
Well,
I got to connect with the people.
I'd be good with either one.
The big thing
Yeah.
about all these stars, all these music stars now, is they're doing them VIP and then the meet and greet. They're selling them tickets for huge money.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, where you and that's what all of them. That's their big thing now. Is I don't reckon they make any money from the record companies anymore, do they?
No,
Probably not.
No,
I ain't gonna do it. I mean, I know people pay $150 to go see John Snyder. I'm like, are you kidding me? They pay $150 to go see John
Yeah.
Snyder. I like John Snyder. Don't take me wrong, but I'm not gonna do it.
No.
Even who was it that wrote Cats in the Cradle? What's his Cats in the Cradle? In the City?
Yeah, I know. Who you're talking
I know
about.
who you're talking
Cat
about.
Stevens.
no. Jim Croce?
Oh,
No,
it was Cat Stevens, wasn't
Was
it?
it kids too?
who?
Damn, somebody get on the Google machine.
Cat Stevens, I think,
I've
wasn't it?
got-
No,
my
it
phone
wasn't
tied
Cat Stevens. He charges $60 just for a signature.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, so does Captain Kirk. So,
But you know,
Hey,
right,
There's a lady here, and there's a lady that lives right here that dated Captain Kirk
really?
just for the weekend.
Harry Chapin.
just for the
It
weekend.
was Harry Chapin.
What?
Harry Chapin. There you go.
Yeah.
Somebody got the Google machine out.
Right there.
There
Well, you know,
go.
a couple years ago when Mick Jagger and them, he had that heart attack and was supposed to be playing up in Chicago. I had a couple of customers that had bought tickets to that concert up in Chicago. And anyway, he had that heart whatever deal they had to operate, and they had to wait. They wouldn't give him their money back. That man spent, I think the ticket for his wife was $1,500 to see the Rolling Stones.
Wow.
And they wouldn't refund the money. You know, he's in there getting his heart operated. No, he'll be good. They'll do the concert. You know,
Yeah.
you're not getting your money back.
Well, they had to pay for the surgery. You know, those guys don't have health insurance. So,
No.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you though, when they come out with Cadzilla, man, I thought that was it. That was the coolest car.
Yeah, man, that was my favorite car that Boyd Coddington ever built.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
That just shows endless checkbook, too.
Yeah.
That's
Just that roof line, the using that Impala roof and that old Cadillac just worked perfect, and setting those taillights at a steeper angle. It was just that was a badass machine.
I've started to run my little old small tire shop here in Hiawassee to, like, when somebody comes in and they start asking how much something is, and then I just look at them and tell them that if they have to ask how much it is, then they don't have enough money. Because these normal common parts has got so expensive. It's like, CarQuest Auto Parts. You can call the dealership and get the parts cheap, just as cheap. You know, they're about the same line as buying parts from a dealer.
And you get like 3 of them to get one that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about that Cadzilla. I wonder why. I always thought how cool it would be to take a Henry J, because it's basically the same thing as that Cadillac. Was that 49 Cadillac? I guess it was.
Oh yeah, they're so similar.
And make a Cadzilla like a mini Cadzilla.
Yeah, I'm sure the GM is right now. They're like Henry J. It looks like, I guess if you took one and like squished it.
Yes, they look just like a Cadillac, man. Ain't no doubt.
Has any of y'all guys ever seen a Henry J in the junkyard?
No.
Actually, I know where there's 2 in a junkyard up in New York, and it was one of them was a car that I passed on. It was an old street going gasser, and last I saw it was in a horse barn that had a pile of pigeon poop about that deep on it. And I passed on the car for $500. I was just a young kid. That was a lot of money for me then. And they didn't sell it, so they ended up having it hauled off. And it said a friend of mine has it at his junkyard now, and it's on one of those someday he's going to fix it things. He's got it in a shed in his junkyard. But and he bought another one as a parts car. That one had an old V8 red painted frame on it. The car was flat black, if I remember right, and I had like a pinstripe flame on it.
Do they not sell them things through Sears? Is that not the Sears, basically?
Yeah, they were Allstate. Through Sears, they were called the Allstate. Now, when the first year, Henry J did not have a trunk. In the next few years, they added a trunk to it. So it was like 51, I think, was the first year. 52 and 3 had trunks. So
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd make a neat little Cadzilla. Somebody, of course, nowadays it's Cads. I don't know. I still think Cadzilla's cool.
It is.
Yeah, that car's a cool car. Now speaking of Henry J's and comparing him to like Cadzilla, that Ian Roselle guy, one of his episodes probably 2 years ago now. He chopped the top on a Henry J, and he did it just right. He just took a little bit out of it, so it didn't lose that roof to body ratio. You know, he brought the top in just right and scaled it right and laid the window down a little bit more, and man, it looked good.
That's the thing about people that chop tops. Who David Crook? You ever heard of David Crook?
The name sounds familiar.
Oh, he's a here. I mean, if you see that right there, yeah, he's a man. He's built a lot of. He actually worked with Chip Foose's dad, and but he talks about people chopping tops. So, you know that he said the theory in chopping tops, if 2 inches is good, 4 inches is better. But sometimes you get too much, man. I just think you get too much out of them. You know, I don't even look right.
You know, my buddy did. He had a 55 Ford, and he sectioned the hood, chopped the hood, where he laid it down,
pancaked it,
sloped it. Man, that looks nice. That really changes a lot too.
What model was it?
That was 55 Ford mainline.
Yeah,
2-door. And that big tall hood, they sectioned the big piece out and laid the hood down.
It's one right there.
Yeah.
That's a 55 Ford.
That's 55 mainline. Yeah. Well, the U. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I like a 55 Ford, 55 and 56, but now I don't like the Crown Vic. I like the main line. I like I don't like that.
I had a 55 mainline too, a 6-cylinder out of Texas. It was really nice.
Yeah, I don't like that chrome they got that wraps up on top of the hood.
On the Crown Vics, yeah. My dad had a regular Victoria, 56 Victoria. That was a beautiful car, and I know a bunch of the guys said, it's too bad it's not a Crown. And then I was just a kid, and when I saw what the Crown Vic looked like with a big chrome band, I said, man, that's just too much.
What about the Sunliner, the one with the plexiglass top?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, that was cool. Those are getting kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
Is that 55 and 56 when they done that?
55 and 56, yeah.
Yeah.
You think you had to cook in those things, though. They had a little shade you could pull over on them.
Well, they were like tinted green too, weren't they?
Yeah, it was the same thing used in the B-27, the same kind of plastic that they used. Ford used it to mold in that section of roof. That was pretty cool. The first Vista Cruiser kind of thing, you know?
Well, was it Dodge or was it Ford that back in the 50s they had the clear hood?
I don't know. I never
did a real short production where a couple of them have a clear tinted hood.
Huh.
It might have been it was a promo vehicle or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't a cross. What was that cross?
The long ram or the cross ram? No, it was a
no. They had a like in 48 or 49. They had a cross flow or something like that, or it was like a rounded looking car, man. The advertisements where they pushed it off a big old cliff and then got in and drove it away.
The magic of editing.
No, that really happened. Back then they didn't edit nothing, man. They didn't edit anything.
Of chopping stuff. I don't know if I'm holding that up where you can see it. This one was sectioned. That was a 49 and a 54 that the guy got, and he wanted a section one. He ended up using 2 cars and sectioned it. And I remember I came around the corner and I saw this car, and my jaw just dropped. You know, it's not chopped, but he took. I mean, it's been a long time ago since I wrote that article. I think it was like 2 or 3 inches he took out of it.
That just seems like a big job. Have y'all ever sectioned one?
Oh man, yeah, it's a huge job.
Stephen, have you touched the old black car any?
I've got several black cars. Which one?
You know the Pete's old car.
No, I got it actually in my garage.
So is it going to be like the 37 Ford that your dad had all them years?
It might be. It's mine. I can do with what I want.
Let's see how thick the dust will get.
Yeah,
it's for looking at.
Going.
Yeah, I need to. I got too many dang projects, man. I got them lined up. We're trying to get rid of them.
And you keep looking. The thing about it is you keep looking for more.
I don't. They find me, man. You know, people, it's like you send me stuff all the time. Oh, buy this, buy that. You're not the only one sending me junk.
How did you like that Chrysler I sent you?
I couldn't afford $4,000. I just can't afford $4,000. That's good.
Well, I got a question for you guys. I had a YouTube subscriber make a comment on a video. I wrecked my car. I brought it in. I was working on that. And the guy goes, when are you ever going to finish a project? Well, when is a project ever finished?
It's
You
not.
You can go
Right,
on the
so-
David Freiberger method of if it runs, it's done.
Yeah.
Or you could go on the Chip Foose thing where you're tweaking it for 5 years to always update it. When is
Yeah.
the project really done? I said,
When you
basically
get rid of it.
everything else runs and drives. To me, that's
It's when-
done, you know?
It's when you get rid of it.
Whenever
As soon
I'm
as you
cashing,
sell it, you're done.
yeah, whenever I'm cashing the check, it was done. You know,
Yep.
I'm
That's
like
it.
you, man. Of course, I've got I own a garbage service. That's what I do. I pick up trash for a living, trashiest guy in town. And then I get trucks to go down. It's like right now, one of my drivers has got to be out next week. So we got to run the route. I can't touch anything. I've got to work on that. And then when the trucks are down, they come first.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that puts me behind. And
Yep. Yep. Get 'em
yeah,
finished
but you
the
got
project.
the mechanic for that.
Yeah.
what I don't understand is this is what blows my mind is they can paint a car in 3 days on TV and I can't even get it sanded down in a day, like a week. I'm still saying I ain't got it sanded down. I'm like,
Yeah.
Shoot, I've
But
always had my nose to the grindstone. It's I did my first metal working and everything whenever I was at Glenn's. I think it was a 71 GMC truck. I got it over there in Murphy, and it was so bad eat up. My brother-in-law come over and we just lifted one side of the bed and tossed it off of it. We didn't even have to cut anything off of it. But I worked every minute after work and everything. I'd stay up fairly late, but I got that truck ready to paint. I think it took me about 2.5 months to get that thing ready, and then got Dennis Ledford to paint it. And the truck came out pretty good. And then but it kindly got sacrificed because Justin needed a truck. So I put it towards getting him something good to drive. And, of course, I never did have nobody worry about if I had anything good to drive whenever I was a kid. But I always tried to make sure my kids got something good to drive.
Well, I had that Barracuda back growing up, and back then you was a kid and, the best driver on the road and everything else. And I kept it tore up. It was constantly having to pull the motor, transmission, rear end. And I actually got a piece of paper out trying to figure out to do a quick disconnect, to take the motor and the transmission apart. I thought they got to be some way to do this like you do a tractor. You put something, you just pull a couple of pins and it just slides right out instead of having to do all the bolt work,
Yeah, I'm telling you what, especially with the subscribers you're getting, you need to pull that car out and build it for that Pennsylvania show. And put it in that part where you've had it since you was 16 or 15, ever how long. It was your first car, wasn't it?
Yeah, my first car ever. Yeah.
So, it won't take much to get that car to run and drive. I'll
never forget.
Some of this other stuff you're messing with, but I think it would do better on your YouTube. You get more views with it and everything if you'd build that and then put it in that show come next July. You've got time to do it. You need to keep planning it, working it.
That sounds simple on paper.
Yeah.
On paper.
And then you start working on it and then YouTube falls apart. I can't figure YouTube out. I'm new to it. And I don't understand it. I get 1 million views with the 2 biggest pieces of junks I own, the Falcarino and that Ford Taurus. And people are like, fix the Ford Taurus. I go, it's a Ford Taurus. Who wants to see that?
Well,
they want to see it.
If Stephen will just get that car to where it'll run and drive in the condition that it's in right now, it'll be a big, huge hit because that's what's in. They don't want to see a Chip Foose.
No, nobody does.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see real world, the girlfriend got knocked up type stuff,
They're tired of LS swaps too.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
I'm
my
burning
God.
out, man.
Well, really, as much as we draw inspiration from the high dollar stuff, 95% of us are 9-to-5ers that do this as a hobby on the side. Most of us don't have 80 grand to go buy a done car or more, or 100 grand or whatever it costs to do it now. So most of us we're all car junkies. There's, the 5 of us, we got a handful of cars, but and there's some guys that have a lot more, but there's other guys that just have that one that they keep tweaking on little by little, and because that's, they just want to make that one perfect. We're like we're car hoarders. Where we just keep going,
Yeah.
oh, that one's cool. Let's get that one. We'll build that one someday. It's cheap, and then we get ourselves buried up in it, and sometimes it takes a while to get stuff done. But I hope I know, like when I built my little shop truck for the magazine, the coolest thing was one guy, my buddy Pete DeValis. He read the first article on it, and the next time I ran into him, before I even knew who he was, he says, you know, because of your article, I'm going to build a truck.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
he's built, I don't know how many different rat rods since then. You know, he just keeps building them. He loves doing them now. And you know, so it's the best thing I could hope is that by us doing these videos, it inspires somebody to go out and try it and do something and dig up something old and get it back on the road and not be afraid to dive into it. And that's, you know, that's what it's all about. You know, if we can inspire, especially if we can get some young kids interested in it and keep this hobby alive, it'd be great. You know, get these kids hooked on cars and they won't have money for drugs.
We were just talking about that. I had a subscriber offer me a car. I had a subscriber said he's got a one owner 79 Cutlass Supreme. He said it's really solid. It ran and drove. Somebody gave it to him. He parked it. He doesn't want it. He said he would donate it to my channel because he'd like to see something done with it. So I'm like, I don't want it. My wife will kill me. But then I came up with an idea. Why not get the car, fix it up, and give it to a kid?
Yeah.
You know, somebody like have some kind of a contest or something, have them fill out just something, and see if you get a couple sponsors to throw on some tires and an intake or something. It's probably just a little Weezer 307, but just something, put headers on it, and then give the kid the car, let them go. You know, I don't want it, and just give it and maybe inspire somebody else.
Hold on, wait a minute. I'm gonna back up just a little bit. I don't think I'd give it to a kid. I think I'd find a kid interested in something.
Well,
like
that's what. Well, that's
that.
they'd have to.
Help. Yeah.
They'd have to get a contest or something going and write something up, or you know what I mean. It just the brain works slow. I had a rough time in the '80s, so
Yeah.
you know the idea is there. It's just formulating it. You know, but I just thought it'd be a neat idea to kind of give the car away. You know, to maybe inspire somebody else or somebody really wants something that can't afford it.
Right.
Well, that, you know, they was sitting there. I met David Freiberger and
Is that a pit bull?
The one that I'm holding?
Yeah.
I think it's part capybara.
What is it?
Chupacabra is more like it.
she's just a weird. She's a Amstaff mix that we rescued from the pound, and she's got about 5% wired-haired Diesel in her, and it gives her this weird little look. And she's all spare parts.
No, I didn't know. I thought it might have been a pit bull. I was gonna say, nice knowing you. What kind of flowers you want at your funeral?
She's Boston Terrier, Amstaff, and weirdo. I think she's got a little wombat in her, and maybe
Chupacabra.
A little chupacabra, a little pig.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Sean. I wanted to talk to John before that pit bull took his head off.
Well, I was sitting there and I was talking. I met David Freiberger and Mike Finnegan up there at Ohio, the one episode that they did Roadkill at the Mopar Nationals. And since then, Dodge pulled everything out of the Mopar Nationals, and they sponsor that Roadkill Nights up there in Detroit. The same weekend, they make sure that they schedule it the same weekend that the Mopar Nationals is. But the guy that puts on the Mopar Nationals that owns the rights to it or whatever, I don't reckon Dodge and him get along too good, and that's why they're doing that big thing. But anyway, they were sitting there. I was sitting there talking about episodes to Freiberger and Finnegan, and I said, "How come y'all don't?" I said, "You got Dodge sponsoring you and everything, and get Dodge involved. Why don't you make an episode where you get school kids to do something? Then maybe like Dodge could donate some driver's ed cars to them or something to the winning school. You know, you get different schools doing a little bit of a competition out of the junkyard stuff to where some of these kids, you know, can learn some of that stuff. But of course, that just fell on deaf ears because I guess, you know, I don't think that David Freiberger and them's getting too rich. They're making money, I'm sure, but they're not. It's not like they're getting Hollywood rich, you know, off the Roadkill episodes. But you know, Dodge, you think that would be a positive thing Dodge, it would get them future customers of, them kids growing up knowing that Dodge did something like that. But I don't know.
Well,
It just
they're
fell
trying
on
to get-
deaf ears to them.
They're trying to get Dodge back in NASCAR, I think. So they're trying to get Dodge back in NASCAR. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But
Yeah. I don't know. I guess the new lady who took everything over is trying to get rid of all V8 stuff and just do electric.
who took over, man? I know we call it Dodge. It's actually Fiat. That's who owns it now. Fiat.
Yeah. We
Fiat
all know what
Chrysler.
Fiat stands for.
No, I don't. What does it stand for?
Fix it again, Tony.
Oh, okay, got it. I'm
Yeah.
not a big Fiat fan. I'll be honest with you.
I can't fit in none of them.
No. No. They had that Fiat 5. I think it's a Fiat 500S or something like that up there at that car show, and they had a top on it. And that's because you have to have two, one for either foot, where you can actually get in them, because there ain't no way. It's
Or a handle on the top.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the commercial that Fiat came out with when they first enlarged the Fiat 500? They went a little bigger with it.
With the
I don't know
kid
if
in
it-
between the two Victoria's Secret chicks? That
No,
one?
it was the old man. He had this real hot chick in his bedroom, and she was dressed in lingerie, and he went in the bathroom and he tried to take out his little blue pill, and it bounced off the sink and out the window and rolled down the gutter and kept on bouncing, and then landed in the sunroof of the Fiat 500, and it went.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool commercial. Sometimes some of them's funny.
The big thing, can you imagine what kind of cars would have been built if the government hadn't regulated them?
Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
You know, it's
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think if left to their own devices, in a free market economy, I think our gas mileage would be better than we're getting now, because the EPA says you need a fleet average of 30. The car company's not going to go, well, and here's 40, because they know they're going to say, well, we want 50 now.
Mhm.
You know, and the
Right.
reason I say that is look at the Z06 Corvette, the last 427 Z06 was a 505 horsepower, naturally aspirated. It got 27 miles to the gallon on the highway. If you could do that with 505 horsepower without a cylinder deactivation, then there is no reason we can't do that with everything. So I think when the government steps in and says, we want this average, they're going to give them that average, but nothing else. But if we went in and it was left to a free market, and we want 500 horsepower, but we want to get 40 miles to the gallon, they figure out a way to make it happen.
yeah. The
There's
big
some
thing,
stuff though, man. That government, like that blinker switch on the turn signal, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I like it in the floor. I
Oh, yeah, the high beam.
It's okay out on an open road because you're holding, but up here you're turning left and right, and then you meet a car, you have to reach
Yeah,
up.
you got to hurry up and find it.
Yeah, but not, you got to remember, if you come from the land of the Great White North and snow, them switches don't last long because the salt gets on your feet and it gets down in there. Those things used to go out every year, fill up with
Man, I
salt.
never had a problem with that. I've driven old cars up
Oh,
to
my
New York.
God.
I never had one of those switches go bad.
I
I
get
remember I was
along-
driving a 70 Chevelle one time, and I was out with this girl, and we're cruising around, and I'm hitting the high beams every time I could, and she looks at me, she goes, "Does this old car have automatic high beams?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Well, they keep dimming, and I don't see your hand moving."
Yeah.
It was down on the floor. She didn't know old cars at all.
I just think that's the dumbest thing in the world. Some of this regulations they put on these cars.
well, you go back to 1981 and the TC3, the Omni TC3 and stuff, them cars that Chrysler was selling, the Omnis and stuff, they was over 40 miles to the gallon, and there
yeah.
wasn't no lithium batteries
Yep.
in them or anything. There wasn't no hybrid to them or anything. That when they talk about these Priuses and they're getting 40 miles, I'm like,
That's nothing. I had a Saturn SL1, got 43 miles to the gallon. Now it was Tupperware on wheels, but it was just a piece of crap car, but it got 43 miles to the gallon.
Well,
Four
Mobile
cylinders.
Oil used to host those economy runs back in the early 60s, and the Rambler American with a straight six,
Yeah.
and their 3-speed with an overdrive was getting 42 miles to the gallon, 43 miles to the gallon.
back in
you
the
had a Saturn.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I used to
I'll never
drive
look at
4
you the
hours.
same, man.
When you
I'll never
drive
look-
4 hours to work, you fit
Listen
into
to
anything
you
you
with a
can.
minivan. If you want it for a Saturn, you got a Dodge minivan.
It was bad. It was bad. I tell you. And the grief I took, they once hid I'm a heavy equipment operator. They once took my car and hid it inside the bucket of a backhoe. I'm looking around for my car, and they put it inside. They drove inside the bucket. I'm like,
That is so funny. Okay, I'm guilty. I do own a minivan.
Hey, who wrecked the Taurus anyway? Was it you or your wife?
it was my wife, wasn't me. It was my wife. Right in Blue Ridge, right by
I bet
Walmart.
it happened when you told her you bid on the helicopter.
Oh, yeah. No, and
Uh-oh, we got
she loves that car. You know,
They're good little old cars, them Tauruses are.
and it's got no miles on it, and it was a driver's ed car. I talked to the guy at the shop. I got it. He said this car never sat outside, and it never went over 55. It was always kept inside. New tires, new batteries, because it's a driver ed car. They always took care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they got rid of it because of its age. We bought it 2 years ago, 2000. It had 60,000 miles on it, and it was 20 years old.
What about that?
You know, I mean, it was so well taken care of. And it had the other brake pedal on the right side, you know, for the oh shit pedal, you know. And they took that out. But yeah, the car, and I paid $800 for the car at a government auction.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to save the car. I mean, it's a nothing car, but you got to save it.
I
So
got Mike Beeman here. He's telling on me here. Them dimmer switches that in the floorboard, I take them, and actually that's what I hook my fog lights up to.
oh,
Yeah, I hook my fog lights up to the dimmer switch in the floor, so I just hit them when I want my fog lights on my cars or whatever come on.
That
And
was
running
smart.
lights, you know,
Good idea. Yeah, they quick hit him.
Yeah, but I had a buddy of mine had it up at his shop, and he couldn't figure out how to turn the lights off. He said, "We've looked everywhere to turn off fog lights, we can't find nowhere."
you could have run dual dimmer switches and still
Yeah,
kept
I just got all kinds of them, man. I just got
There you
all-
go. Click, 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 click.
I'm trying to figure out how to hook up that dimmer switch to the blower, where I can turn the blower on. But
Just use it as an ignition switch, on, off,
Yeah,
you know.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
Anti-theft, you know, the Ford has the steal me now thing on the, on the fender. So you could just hook it up to the dimmer switch, hit the pedal, you couldn't jump the solenoid.
Well, you know, they're actually a lawsuit for Kia, and I can't remember what the other company is, that some city is suing them because their cars are so easy to steal, and they're the highest stolen cars in the city. How can that be? I mean, how can you sue the manufacturer for that? That don't make no sense.
They sue people for anything.
Yeah, it's like suing the gun company when somebody shoots somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe if I sue you for $1 million for some reason, and I lose, then I ought to have to pay you $1 million, and that would cut a lot of that out. Because you had a serious case, then you wouldn't mind going up against it. But if it's something stupid, you know.
Yeah.
Y'all have a lot of lawsuits down under, man. Do you have a lot of lawsuits down in Australia? No.
Nah, not like you guys do.
Y'all ain't got no lawyers down there. Y'all got lawyers down there?
Yeah. They're just to get you out of trouble.
Yeah. What did they say? Do you know why they bury lawyers 20 feet deep?
What's that?
Because deep down they're still good. You know what I'm saying? Deep down. I got a buddy of mine that's a lawyer. He used to always tell lawyer jokes, man.
You know why there's no Irish lawyers? They
What's
couldn't
that?
pass the bar.
Yeah, I guarantee that's the dang truth. What is that? What is that joke? There was an Irishman walked out of a bar. That's it, man. That's a joke.
Yeah, that was it.
So I got a helicopter joke.
Yeah.
You can tell this to your wife, Bill. So
Oh,
this lady goes to the fair and there's helicopter rides for $50. And she says to her husband, she goes, "Come on, I want to go for a helicopter ride." He says, "Economy's tight and $50 is $50. So she says, "All right." So this happens every year for years. So we finally go in. She's an old lady now, and she goes up and she says she says, "I really still want to go on that helicopter ride. It's been about 20 years." And her husband says, "Yeah, I know, but $50 is $50. And he says, "I'll tell you what, you go out and talk to that pilot and see if you can work out some kind of deal." So she goes up to the pilot and says, "I've been wanting to ride this, but my husband says $50 is $50, and he doesn't want me to spend the money." So the pilot says, "I'll tell you what." He says, "I'll take you and your husband for a ride. And if you guys don't say a word the entire time, then I'll give you the ride for free." So she says, okay. So her and her husband climb in, and he flies up and takes them over that scenic route, and they're quiet as church mice back there. And so he's like, man, I got to get paid for this. So he starts doing these tricks and banking it and does these flips and everything. And they sit back there quiet as can be. And he brings it down and lands that helicopter, and he says, ma'am, I got to hand it to you. When I did all those tricks, I thought you'd at least yell something out, but I guess you get this ride for free. She goes, well, I almost said something when my husband fell out, but $50 is $50.
Yeah.
That's about.
She just said, I hope you can sleep in a helicopter, is what my wife said.
She'll love you for it when you take her up that one time. Once.
Yeah. It was cool. It was like the one from MASH.
Oh, really?
That is cool.
It was a 1964 Bell something. It was a civilian version of the one from MASH.
I know what
And
you're
a
talking about.
trade school was selling it.
Really?
Yeah, down at North Georgia. And it wasn't too far away. So why not?
So what's the high bid right now?
They pulled it because it wasn't pulling. I Googled the helicopter actually sells right now. If you have one that flies, 120,000. So I was a high bid at 8,900.
I feel like that's pretty cheap though on a helicopter, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
That would be cool to just mount on a pole in your yard and make it look like it's flying through your yard.
Yeah.
It work.
Well, I guess the key is having all the log books. And this one was missing some kind of logbook or something, so it's hard to make it flyable again.
Yes,
So it would be parts.
aviation, you have to go through the whole thing all over again.
Right.
And,
So it would be a parts thing, but still, I could have made 20 times my money back in parts. But it's still bringing a helicopter down Paget Lane. It's
yeah, right. Hey, Steven, did I hear right that you fly?
I am in the process of. My boys are in Middle College of Georgia in aviation school. They're both almost. They'll be flying for Delta before long. Yeah, they're.
wow.
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
then we bought a Cessna. I got a Cessna 172.
You want to buy a helicopter?
Honey, can I have a helicopter? No, I don't want one.
I tried. Such a deal.
I'm gonna tell you, man. I love flying. I love aviation. I used to be scared to death of it, but my brother's a corporate pilot. He flies a private jet for a company over here in Franklin, and that's kind of what got us all started. But I mean, they've got a brand spanking new. I call it Learjet, but it's a Cessna jet. I think it's probably $15 million. It ain't 2 months old.
Yeah.
And but I mean, he flies from here to New York, and I mean, just a couple of hours. It's crazy what that thing will run. But now I've got a little 172. It's nothing like that. I mean, that's like most people that buy planes to starters is a 172. That is like the go-to training, low maintenance, easy to fly plane.
You can live away from it kind of crash,
Yeah, 90%. Okay, they had this thing the other day over here. This guy ran out of gas and landed on the interstate, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's a hero. He's a hero." But the people in the aviation that flies, they're like, "He's an idiot. What idiot runs out of gas?"
Right.
He's stupid. He's an idiot, Yeah. But 90% of the time the crashes are pilot error where they've done something stupid because, like if you lose your engine and you pull back, that slows the pain. That's just like putting your brakes on. So you always got to remember, you got to fly to the crash. You got to keep the plane flying. And
Bring the nose up at the last minute.
You're going to the scene of the accident. That's where you're headed. Yeah.
Right. And and that's the thing about it. But I made them go through everything. They've gone through their aerobatics, they've gone through all that kind of stuff. And I told them while they were there, learn everything they can, because if they do get and we actually had my plane lost a cylinder coming back from Florida one time, and Evan was just, okay, no big deal. And, he found a airport to land on, and just happened to be a friend of ours, and shot in there, landed right, no problem whatsoever. And they fixed it, and away he went, But a lot of people, that happens. Mayday, 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 and start freaking out. You don't want to do that. It's like when you're cool. In a car wreck, when something's going on, ice or something like that, you don't want to get all freaked out,
What caused it to lose a cylinder? With bad spark plug or what?
They're notorious for that. They get the valves on them 172s that we got a 6-cylinder ours, and after so long they get carbon buildup, and we were right at time to get it through annuals, but anyway, that carbon built up and the valve stuck, That's all it had, just a valve stuck. So we took it and they redone all the valves and all that kind of stuff. So we're good now. But they're tedious. But man, like a valve for an airplane is $4,000, and you get the same valve for a Volkswagen. It's like 20. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Well, it's because it's got that FAA number on it.
Yeah.
that's
So
what
once you get the certification, that adds the money to it.
it's a 1961. It's built in 1961, but it's like a brand new. And the guy we got it from, his father just babied it around. It's really a nice plane. Yeah.
Now they got lead in the gas, but they still clogged the valves up with that lead and everything.
Yeah, something about it's a little bit different deal.
I don't know if they still have lead in the aviation fuel. I
Yeah,
thought
they
got
still
lead.
got low lead in it, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's low lead is what they call it.
Okay.
But it's got, I don't know the octane on it. I think it's 120 octane or something like that.
They never
Maybe.
do give you an accurate thing on what octane's in them.
I'll tell you what now, burn your mouth, because if I watch that video where we cranked that Dodge Dart, man, I was siphoning that out like gas, and that stuff went in my mouth. I ain't kidding you. It lit me up. I like, good Lord.
Is
mercy.
it like
It's
hot peppers? Is that what it's
Woo,
like?
yeah, it was. You know how gas is. I can handle a little gas, but that stuff there is serious, man. I like it's burning. But we got her cranked anyway.
That motor sounds good in that little old car.
Yeah, I ain't got it down here yet. I got to go get it. I need to get it down here, but I don't think I'm gonna do nothing but just put brakes on that thing and clean it up and drive it up.
That's all you need to do. So, are you going to build a rollback?
I don't know. I've been thinking about a ramp truck more than anything.
The ramp truck?
Yeah.
That'll be something good for the channel.
Yeah.
Well, my buddy sold one not too long ago. It was a pretty nice little truck he used to haul his dray car around on. It was like a 70s. It was a square body Chevy cab, if I remember right. It might have been even like a 72 or older, but I think it was like a mid 70s.
Right.
Hey guys, I gotta leave you. I just noticed my phone is at like 6%.
Well, if your wife don't kill you, we'll see you next week.
All right, brother. Everybody take it easy, man.
All right.
We'll
talk
see
to
See
you.
you later, Bill.
All right, we'll see you.
It's getting dark on me out here. You're back.
Yeah,
in the
can't even see you.
You're looking good, John.
Yeah.
Speeding away.
The camera just took off 40 pounds.
There you
Yeah,
go.
dude. I had a F700 rollback one time with the Cummins in it. It was a really good, but it had that Lucas curling brakes on it. You know what I'm talking about? The electric over hydraulic brakes.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's stupid brakes.
Junk, man.
Yeah.
That's why I finally got rid of it. Of course, we about wore the thing out, but I got over here on the mountain and that dang electric thing went off and locked the brakes down right in the middle of the road. And I couldn't do anything. There's no way to get it unhooked. I mean, I even unhooked the battery and the whole 9 yards and it locked the brakes down.
Yeah.
And just all of a sudden they just started working again.
Okay.
And when you change the brakes on them, it's $1,000, $1,200, $1,500. I mean, it's stupid.
Yeah, that gets ridiculous.
I had air brakes, but it's just that's the way to go, air brakes. So y'all have to have CDLs down in Australia. Y'all drive big trucks just on regular driving license.
No, there's a heap of different. Oh, depending on the weights, there's like a light truck and a medium truck and a heavy, and then there's different ones for semis and.
Right.
What
We got
gets
like
me is
The wife's got all that. She's got every truck license she can get.
what gets me is here. Like if you got, if you're driving something with air brakes, you need a CDL. If you're driving something over 18,000 pounds, you need a CDL. But you can be 98 years old, have glasses this thick, and get behind the wheel of an RV that's 60 feet long, and you throw a trailer behind that and drive all over the country without anything more than a regular license.
With air brakes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ours everything goes on weights. So yeah, even like your RV, we call them motorhomes. Even the motorhomes, depending on what weight they are, they need to have some sort of a truck license too. Yeah, or the small ones don't.
I wish I'd have made
Here,
it.
RVs are exempt.
I wish
Even
I'd
like
made
a big F350, like some of them are classified as heavy vehicle, and you got to have a truck license to drive some of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't have
Here
to have
it's,
truck license on
like
motorhome.
a Super Duty Ford, like an E350 Super Duty that had a 11.5 rating, so that technically falls under CDL stuff, or not CDL, but DOT. You don't need a CDL for it until I think it's 18,000 pounds, but anything over that, and it's I put a lot of miles on our delivery truck, and we thought we were under the CDL limit or the DOT limit until we got stopped one time, and then it was And the problem with the CDL stuff and the DOT stuff, you ask 5 cops what the rules are, and you get 6 different answers.
You're right about that.
Yeah,
Yep, I
so
deal
just
with it
so
all
it's-
the time.
Yeah, and it makes it a real hassle, you know. So it was, I remember we sold our International so we could get a lighter truck, so we could get underneath that DOT limit. We bought that E350, and because it was Super Duty, it put it right in that. You know, we were still in the same boat, and I was like, man, what are we going to do? So I used the heat gun and took the Super Duty emblems off and opened up the door jamb, and there was that sticker. And I said, man, I wish there was something I could do with that. And I rubbed it with my finger, and all the ink flaked off it. So I was like, okay, now we just got a regular 350.
Yeah. Well, now that, do you have to? I know, like in our little trucks, they're not CDL required, but we have to have medical cards. You have to have a medical card.
Yeah, medical card. And I went to a doctor one time to get the medical card, and they looked at me like I had 2 heads. They had no idea what that even was.
Yeah, I have to.
So
That's the
we
funny
just-
thing about it.
you
See,
know,
I drive a school bus, which I've got Class A license. I can drive anything but hazmat. I can't drive hazmat, but I'm legal for anything. But I have to have a medical card for the school bus through the state, and that don't cover the CDL. So then I have to have another medical card for CDLs.
which is the same thing, right? The same.
Same thing, but I have to have
Yeah.
2 different medical cards.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine here that I work with. He they keep telling me I should get my bus license, and then I was talking to another guy that had his, and he says I'll never get it again. And I said why? And he said he had high blood pressure, so they yanked his bus license, and they actually revoked his regular driver's license because he was on high blood pressure medicine. He goes, I'm never going to put myself through that again. And I was like,
I
man,
never heard of that.
yeah, and it was just some fluke thing. And I said, man, if you ever, if they revoked everybody's license for high blood pressure, 90% of America wouldn't be driving.
Oh yeah.
No, I never heard of that. That might be something. You live in North Carolina, man. Y'all got some weird
Yeah.
laws over there.
DOT stuff is weird in North Carolina, but it's it could have been a fluke thing too. Maybe there's some cross up paperwork or something on his part, But I know other guys that drive school buses, and they got a high blood pressure. I've never asked them, but they just look like they do.
Well, you should get. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
And if you don't,
You're
before you
good.
drive a school bus, you will when you're done.
yeah. I like it. I enjoy it. Sometimes I complain, about it, but yeah, all in all, it's
Yeah.
all right. You kind of fall in love with the kids,
Yeah, man, it's it happens.
and you deal with kind of the tough. You're actually a school teacher. You actually deal with some of the tougher kids. Do you know?
Yeah, we're over at the alternative school, so we have the at-risk kids. So it takes they're a little different group of kids than you would have in the mainstream school, but they're a bunch of good kids. They're
Mhm.
when it comes right down to it, they're kids like everybody else. And they're just they haven't found their way yet, is all.
Mhm. And you're showing them the way. Oh God,
Yeah, man.
you're the leader.
It's,
Oh boy,
We
it's
just, we
hard to
just took
turn
them
out
for a
good.
field trip. We took them up to the Joyce Kilmer Forest for a field trip, and
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. They never saw trees that big before, and it kind of blew them away. See a tree 19 foot in diameter,
That's crazy. Y'all got big trees down in Australia. I mean, this is
Yeah, they're not. There's big ones, but nothing like the size of that.
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, this
That's
is
rare,
the
though.
last
That's rare.
old growth forest in the East Coast. So they're big yellow poplars, and we measured a couple of them by arm length, and one was about 19 foot round, another one 16 foot round. There's a couple others in that 15, 16 foot diameter size. It was it's pretty amazing to see. I've been up there a few times, and it still amazes me every time.
Is that the biggest trees on the East Coast?
Yes, as far as I know, as far as anybody knows, I guess they're the biggest ones. I don't know if I
Yeah.
should have a picture.
Have you ever seen any of the redwoods out west? Have you ever been out west or anything?
I'd like to get out there, not in person, just pictures of them.
They've got pictures of them old Model A's going through them trees out
Yeah.
there back in.
My dad went through them when he was a kid. He said
Did
he said it was really cool. Here's, I don't know if that'll come through. Let's see if we can get that to show.
Oh, there you go.
There's a kid climbing up between those trees.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, it's just pretty neat, man. Seeing see the big giants like that kind of makes you feel tiny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. How's the Thunder Chicken coming, man? I seen you just uploaded.
It's good, man.
video.
My wife and I took it down to a wedding yesterday in Blairsville, and it's I still got to get some time to. I just put spark plug wires on it tonight, and I got to get some time to adjust the brakes, or I got to I think the push rod isn't engaging the master cylinder soon enough. So I'm gonna find out how much clearance I actually have in there and make a little slug that'll take up the slack and readjust the wheel adjusters, get the brake pedal to be a little higher. But other than that, it's it goes down the road nice and smooth, and it's weird because those tires don't have any dry rot in them. They're not wobbling. They're holding balance good, no flat spots, but they're 40 years old. So
Wow.
I'm like nervous taking it far yet. I want to hunt around for a nice set of mags for it and put a decent set of tires on it.
I like it just like it is, man. I ain't kidding you. I like it just like it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of, to me, I'd hate to tear anything up on it.
Yeah, I got to fix a couple. Needs a pair of mufflers and a exhaust manifold leak I got to take care of. But it's battery's charging and the charging system's up and just about everything's working on it. So it's something I can start to use.
Does it have an FE motor in it?
Yeah, 390 FE, a single 4-barrel.
Them things you just can't. Them manifolds is just about impossible for them not to leak
That's
at
what I've
any
heard.
time.
Yeah, this is on the heat riser side, so I'm hoping it's not cracked. I'm hoping it's just a blown gasket.
Yeah.
Well, now you
Hopefully,
when you drive something with a leaky exhaust manifold, it just sounds like a turd box.
I can't stand it, man. I hate it.
Me too.
Now you went to the car show over the weekend. I missed that. You went down there for that. What is that kid car? We played it. We used to play it every year back.
That was the Moonshine Cruising that they host at the Dawsonville Museum.
Yeah.
And,
is that not the kids thing though, where they do all that to raise money for the kids?
I don't know if it is or not, but they're raising money for something because it was $10 to park and it was $30 if you wanted to put your car in the show. And
yeah, I think that's that kid.
They used to have a really good. They used to have a really good swap meet, and now there was 4 vendors. I went down hoping to find some good parts, and Bill and I took my Tahoe down there. I was hoping to find a set of wheels, and he ended up finding an intake he needed, but it was just 4 guys selling Ford parts, and they leased the property from a homeowner so they could sell on their lawn, and that homeowner had to go get a garage sale permit to be able to let them vend on their lawn. And I don't know, when I go to a big show and I'm hoping to find car parts, and it's just disappointing when they had a good swap meet and then they just decided to cancel it. And there are a lot of nice cars there, but when you go in parts hunting and you don't find the parts you want, you kind of get bummed out.
But is this the one where they shut Dawsonville down and put the race cars down the middle of the road?
No, that is the same one. They used to have it down the middle of the road, but now it's kind of, the show itself is kind of contained just around the museum.
Oh, okay.
And they used to have all the old stock cars all the way down the main street.
They shut Dawsonville down and put them all the way around, around the back town.
I made the mistake of taking my 59 Apache down there one year, and that broke me. I'll never go back to that place again. It's a dang Ford only. Man. It's a Ford only. Them Ford fellers high-hatted me down there, and it's like, you know what? I don't have to be around people like this. And I'm like you. If it ain't got a swap meet, what good is it? Because it's.
I didn't mind paying the $10 to park the vehicle for us to get in. It was splitting it's $5 a piece to go in and check it out. But again, I was expecting a swap meet, and it's so we kept walking around, and Bill and I kept saying, "Man, I'm so glad I didn't bring my car down here." Bill said the same thing. Man, my wife would have been pissed because we would have been stuck here all day. There was no way you could even get out if you were. If you were in the show itself, it was that packed. And for $30, it wasn't like they gave you much. It was just you were sitting in a parking lot like any other show. So $30 was just a lot of money for a show at that point.
What kind of wheels are you looking for?
I don't know. I'd like to find maybe a set of either polished torque thrust. I'd really like to get a set of Astro Supremes, but set of torque thrust or something. I'm looking for like a 15x6 or 15x7. Steel or
I've got a number to where I've got a set of TTOs brand new coming to me, 15x7s and 15x8s. I think delivered to me, it's under $700 or $600 brand new. Yeah,
there was one set of wheels down there. They were the traditional torque thrust on polish, brand new in the box. The guy wanted, I think, $650 for the set, but they were all 15x8s. And I don't think that T-Bird will take much more than a 7-inch rim on the back.
Yeah, well, I got that number at the shop, and this guy's up in Ohio, and he ships that the wheels. I've got a 68 Chevelle down there at the shop, or 69, I can't remember. But anyway, it's got some 80s looking wheels, and we're putting some air shocks just to get the back end up just a little bit. And I'm putting it's got 8.5s on it right now, but I'm putting 15x7s on the front and 15x8.5s in the back. And
That's cool.
now if it was mine, I'd be getting it way up and putting some 12-inch on the back of it, you know.
I always like putting I
Whoa.
always put big block air conditioned station wagon springs in my Chevelles when I was younger. Get it sitting up beefy, not real high, but like, you know, if I want the car.
Oh, he likes his up
this-
there,
I
man.
like him beefy
You have
all
to,
around.
he got deflectors on his taillights where people on the ground can
I remember
see
as
the
a kid in my
stops.
town when I was coming down the road with my Chevelle, and he was coming by. He had like a '77 Monte Carlo, and he came by and he had air shocks pumped way up in the back. And he had a license plate underneath his front plate that was bent from dragging the ground. And he waved at me, and I was looking him in the eye through his sunroof because it sat so steep. I was like, he looked like he was holding himself up from falling.
It
into
sounds
steering wheel
awesome to
driving.
me.
He waved. He was like,
No,
"Grrr." I was
I like
"This is
low,
ridiculous."
man. I like the stock look.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah,
I like a muscle car to sit a little beefy. I'd rather have him sitting up tough, and
well,
you know, if
this
that's
car,
big as wheels and stuff, then you can drop it down. But you know, there's just something about a good old traditional 15-inch rim with a meaty tire. You know,
Yeah.
the tires. You know, to me, a good muscle look is as much tire as you could possibly fit in that wheel well. You know, and fill it
Mhm.
right up.
I just go ahead and blow the wheel well out. Let's get it out. Get it out. I went and bought a set of slots a couple of months ago. I mean, they're mint, and I can't believe that they've never been drilled. You know, usually they're always
Wow,
drilled for drag, but I got a set of 15x14 slots a couple of
nice,
months
man.
ago with some big wide tires on them too.
Yeah, I
And
love
I
slot
paid-
mags. I
Yeah,
love slot mag. You know, it's
And these things are, I mean, the finish on them's perfect. They've never been drilled, and
Cool.
they'll probably end up on that satellite sometime. Hopefully, hopefully I get to hear that motor run this week. Hopefully.
The original slot mag came out in 1963, so it's been around a long time. It's a good
Oh,
traditional
yeah.
wheel, but I don't know I don't think it's the right wheel for the T-Bird. I think the T-Bird needs something a little more leaning towards the custom side. To me, the slot wheel was always a good hot rod wheel. You know, so
Yeah.
it's you know, so I want to go with some kind of traditional mild
Well,
custom look. on
You
it.
know, Kragers and Keystones are pretty timeless too.
Yeah.
I'm wire, man. Go wire wheels on that thing, man.
See, I'm not a wire wheel fan at all.
I love
So
wire wheels, man.
The only thing worse than wire
Check it
wheels is
out.
wire wheel hubcaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the wire wheels, especially like they put on them 56 Plymouths and all that, or Chryslers. Remember they had the wire wheels on them?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good looking
Yeah.
wheel.
My
Yeah,
buddy
that's
John
good.
DiAgostino, he's a big custom car builder out in California, and he's a big wire wheel guy. You know, he had when I first met him, he had the Elvis II Cadillac that he builds, a '59 Eldorado Briz convertible that he did as a custom, and it had the wire wheels with the really big white walls on it, and it just looked so cool. You know, it
Yeah.
just, had a corded
Usually-
telephone in it and a record player.
Wire wheels always puts me in mind of either a low rider or them I forget the name of them cars that was so long, and they had the big accordion looking exhaust pipe.
The cords. The cord.
Yeah, the cords.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because-
nice. That's what I like.
But
Yeah.
now
With the
them-
flex pipe coming out. Yeah.
How much is even one of them cords cost? Is that like $1 million car, or
I
is
don't think
it?
they're that high. I mean, I think they were front wheel drive too, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
they were front wheel drive.
What's that?
They were
They
front wheel
were-
drive.
That's what I thought. Yeah, they were one of
Mm-hmm.
the first ones to be front wheel drive. But there's a lot of companies that make kit cars of them. And then the 80s and 70s, they had those neo classics like the Tiffany's and stuff they kind of borrowed that exhaust out through the body
Yeah.
and back into the fender kind of thing. And
Didn't they do like a Cadillac? They'd take Cadillacs and then that front wheel drive Cadillac and do some of them where they stretched it.
I think,
Well,
I
I've
think
got
maybe
one
they
of
did.
them. I've actually got one of them front wheel drive Cadillacs, but instead of putting the long front end, mine's shortened. It's like a little coupe. It's a 85
Oh, really?
Cadillac Eldorado, 2-seater. Yeah, it's a neat car. Yeah, it's a neat car.
Yeah, there was I can't remember the name of the company that made those. They only made them for like 1 or 2 years.
Global Motor Coach
That's right. Yeah.
out of Florida.
Yeah.
Yep, I got
How
one.
good a shape is yours in, Stephen?
It's in good shape. It'll crank and run, but it's just been setting. It's been it's in the garage. My boy, I don't know why I leave it in there, but I guess it's just one of the cars I like. I'm running out of room to put cars, man. I don't know. I mean, I'd hate to count the cars I've got. I'll be honest with you. I don't have.
Steve, you don't have any of the older Eldorados from the 70s, do you?
Yeah.
Or Tornado? Because if you
I've
got
got
one of
an
those,
Eldorado.
you could take one of those that with the big 500-inch motor in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the couple guys up north who used to do this. They would take those and then cut the body off behind the seat and then weld a trailer on the back and make a car hauler out of that. So you'd have a really low car hauler because you had the big torquey.
I remember him doing that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's whoever guy did that up by us, and he took the Cadillac body and pitched it and put a like a 57 Chevy pickup truck body on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept it real nice and low to the ground. Had just a little beaver tail 18-foot trailer welded to the back of to the subframe of the Cadillac. And
I've got one. It's in rough shape. It's convertible. It's like a 74 or 5 Eldorado.
Yeah,
but it's
got the chassis. You can use the chassis.
Yeah, it runs. It's 500. They put them motors in them GMC motorhomes. That's what they use in them GMC.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought it'd be cool to take one of those and make a car hauler out of one of those.
Yeah,
but those motorhomes went sky high on price. They're you get a decent one now. They're expensive as can be.
Sean's got one up there. You still got that at your shop?
Now I finally got that thing going, and they got it out of there.
Yeah,
I've been looking at that Discovery over there at Blairsville, but see, all my money right now, I'm afraid, I still ain't spending on that satellite. Paying over $300 just for a measly fuel line this week. What else is going to be coming up?
That's just crazy to me. I just don't understand that. Why can't you just run a hose? Ain't no way I'd do that. I'd lose sleep.
Braided line and AN fittings add up, man. They add up fast.
Yeah. You want to be safe. I mean, I got too much money in that car. Good God, I'll probably have, by the time I get it done, probably have 40 or 50,000 in it.
You need to watch Copperhead Customs YouTube channel. He builds for under $5,000.
That's right.
Yeah. It's
well, that's $2,000 over there.
Yeah, he built under $2,000. He probably hose.
Are old motorhomes getting big dollars down in Australia too?
I had one of those. It was a Chevy. It was like 40 foot long. I think it was made by Custom or something. It was like looked like the A-Team bus, but like a big, huge one. Yeah, I had one of them.
Was it front wheel drive?
No, rear wheel.
Okay.
Had a 454 big block in it. The motor was up the front.
Yeah.
It was like an 83 or 84 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a truck chassis. I think they were on a truck chassis.
Did you use it for the dirt tracking?
Pardon?
Had a van nose, like a regular van nose.
Yeah. It had it was a real aggressive looking thing.
Yeah.
Looked like the 18.
It
looked like the 18 bus, but
cool.
huge,
Yeah. That's a Class C. A Class A would be like, I don't know, I guess like more like a bread truck where the whole body is, there's no, you can't tell who the manufacturer is as far as Chevy.
Well, that's what it looked like the Winnebagos and that. There's like a whole heap of different ones, and they all have very similar interiors in them.
Yeah. Mauve, some ugly 80s or 90s mauve color interior with weird curtains.
Yeah. That was it. So we bought that. We got that for $5,000, I think. It had a blown up motor in it, and it was too long. It had because we got a rear overhang rule. So from the center of the back wheel to the back has to be, I think it's a maximum of 3 meters or something, or 60% of the wheelbase.
Yeah, people don't realize how much that swings out, man. When you make a turn, when you have a lot of overhang like that, that swings right around. Yeah,
so it was like 1.5 foot too long. So they couldn't they couldn't register it. So I'm like, no, I can do this. So I bought it and I rebuilt the motor. I left the motor in, left the block in there, but rebuilt it. Yeah. And then I chopped the bum off of it and resheeted the back. Okay. Like I sussed it all out before. I didn't actually chop into the frame. I just chopped this big fiberglass bum off of it and redid the bumper and everything and got it to the right length and got it registered. And then I think I had $8,000 into it. And I sold it for $35,000.
Well,
Wow,
now,
man.
how
Wow,
did they
pretty good.
how did they drive it down there before you got it if they couldn't register it with the
They drove it in Western Australia, so over in Perth. They've got a different overhang law, so they had it registered over there.
No kidding.
And then it got to Queensland, and it got the bloke blew the motor up. He ran it on no oil, so the motor had like nothing. Had I think 20,000 kilometers on it from new. This thing, and like when we opened it up, the thing was like brand new, but it had when I pulled the rods out, I was saying to my mate, no, the bearing cap's stuck on the crank because. But what it was is there was no bearing caps on the crank, but one of them had smashed into the crank that hard and ground the crank down. It had looked like the bearing cap was still next to it. Does that make sense?
No kidding.
It had
Yeah.
like gouged about 3 mil or something out of the crank, and then so I put a new crank in it and refreshed it, everything, and it ran like a trooper. So that was we did that we towed a big like 8-meter enclosed trailer, went racing for the year in it, and then sold it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it
we
worked
can
out
sell
good for
ours. I've got a I guess 96. I guess it is American Eagle, but it's got the Cummins. It's a pusher. I like it a lot, but it's just I don't know. We're thinking about selling it, kind of downgrading. I like to find something my wife could drive to and get out on the road, and then that way if I get tired, she can keep going. You know.
There you go.
Yeah, they're a bit.
Yeah,
They're fun. It was fun to drive, I tell you.
I have a 10.
I love mine.
Do you like it? I don't know.
Yeah, mine's like a big truck.
What kind of mileage?
He's being hateful up there. He's being hateful
I
down there.
have a 10.
What
feel
kind
like
of
a
fuel
little-
mileage is yours getting, Stephen?
People laugh at me and I tell, but if I get out on the road, I can probably get 11 or 12 out on the open road. It's good.
Yeah, I get a lot better than that with my 10.
With your tent.
Yeah, I get a lot better with my 10.
Yeah, but you can't be going down the road at 85 mile an hour in your tent.
My my semi trailer, like I had a Scania, big turbo 6 Scania that we used to pull a 40-foot trailer with, and that was more fuel efficient than that freaking motorhome.
Oh yeah, well mine's got a 400 horsepower Cummins in it pusher.
Yep.
Oh, that's
I
nice,
do good
man.
with mine. It's a big
Yeah.
block. It's the big block Cummins, and I ain't kidding you. It's non-computerized and it's always brought us home, but it's just like little stuff like
This is,
refrigerator. We got to redo the refrigerator.
I don't know if you guys can see that. That's what my daughter Liberty built, that teepee. I don't know if that'll.
I can't see
Show
nothing. But
Nah.
I
Yeah, I think it's
can't
too bright, I guess. Maybe got too much light. Let me see if I can do this. Backlight it a different way. Move the lamp.
that
That
makes
makes
it
it
worse.
worse, doesn't it?
Oh,
There
there
it
you
is.
go.
There it
Back
goes.
a little bit.
Yeah, she built that teepee out of bark and logs when we had COVID.
Really?
Yeah, but who wants to see it? But it's
Well,
not
that-
worth it.
They claim that Rectrans that I've got supposed to get 11 miles to the gallon with that 413 in it.
Really?
That's what they call. That's what they wind tunnel designer. Bunky Knudsen and them, and Bunky Knudsen and Larry Shinoda. That's why they took it to the wind tunnel to make it 11,000 pounds and get 11 miles to the gallon
Yeah.
with that
And that's
413.
no overdrive. You put an overdrive in there, you might get 13, 14.
Yeah. And
I don't know. I think I'd Cummins it, man. I'd put a Cummins in that thing. I'd slide that frame underneath it, and I'd set that down on me something.
I need to go over there, I guess, and try to make a deal on that one over there at Blairsville. I might need you to co-sign for me, Stephen.
What did he say about it? Whose is it?
I talked to him just a little bit, but I got busy and I told him I'm gonna have to reschedule going to look at it. And of course, my wife was about like a flat broke garage wife. Whenever I told her there's another one, what? You ain't got that motor. You don't know what that final bill is gonna be on it. What do you mean?
Well,
There's this other channel I watch, and he does stuff at the Copart or whatever, and there's been a few of them, those buses, a few buses go through there cheap.
Where's
Like
this-
RVs, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
What's the name
They
of
go
the
through-
channel?
Oh, there's a heap of different ones that do those Copart things, but yeah, there's always these motorhomes that go through Copart and that pretty
Right.
cheap.
Yeah.
The big
Yeah,
thing
big
is they've always got a roof leak. They've always got a roof leak.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, a big thing that's starting to happen around here is people are buying old school buses and converting them. They call them schoolies. Yeah, converted
The,
to an
the
RV. And,
the roofs are more stable on the school bus, ain't it?
oh yeah, a lot more. Yeah, we converted one school bus into a rolling classroom. It was a project we did. We made it look like a giant Woody station wagon, and put solar panels on it and everything. It's got its own Wi-Fi, and the only thing it would need would be a bathroom and a bed. We had it set up so it would be a learning thing. So we had like a little living room area at the end of it, and then a couple booths set up so they could do stuff, and a couple counters, and made it so they could serve food out of the windows too if they needed to. And
Well, if you're ever going to convert a school bus, you need to buy the Bloodmobile when they get to with them, because they're already turnkey. They got 4 air conditioners on them. They got water.
really?
They got, they're
Well,
the
what
Bloodmobile,
did you say?
They go the Bloodmobile where they go from spot to spot to spot and take blood.
Yeah.
They're school buses,
Oh,
and they're
okay.
already tricked out. All you'd have to do is
The
put a kitchen.
problem
in
is,
the back.
man, I can't believe what the school buses are starting to go for now.
Well, I drive a school bus, and if you don't get one that's air ride, you might as well forget it, because I'm gonna tell you, number one, they're
Oh, it bounce all over
you'd
the
have to
place.
turn them up because there's no power whatsoever, but they're rough
Yeah.
as a cob, man. You get on some of these roads at this pothole,
Oh, yeah.
it'd be.
Yeah, that's
It'd
why I
be-
was surprised to see what they go for.
So is it pretty hard to get a speeding ticket in the school bus, Stephen?
You can't get a speeding ticket in a school bus.
Yeah,
It won't
they're
run
governed
fast
at
enough.
45 miles an hour.
No, because here's the thing: if the police pulls you over, they have to take a comment from each person on that bus. They have to interview each person on that bus.
Really?
So if I've got 60 kids and 30 of them's in first grade, could you imagine?
We need your
So-
statement.
But you don't, very rarely do you see a school bus speeding, because if anything happens to them kids, it's the school bus's fault, or school bus
Oh, yeah.
driver's fault. That's
Yeah.
set up because we go to all the classes and all the training. If anything happens, it's like he didn't do according to what he was supposed to do according to the training.
Yeah.
So,
Our school buses are governed to 45 miles an hour in North Carolina.
oh,
And
they
then
really?
the activity buses, I think, are 50 or 55.
Yeah, I think ours are given to probably 65 or 70. I don't know, but
Yeah.
when they're empty, I mean, if ain't nobody on them, I'll come on back. I got an old flat nose, but I think about 60, 65. That's about as fast as you want to go in that old thing I've got.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah,
We're not allowed to have buses anymore in the Worden family.
Nope.
No, my dad he bought a 48 Greyhound bus, and when we were still up in New York, he bought it to convert into a camper, and then he found another one that he was going to use for parts, and he brought it home, made a deal with a friend of mine that was a scrapper, and the deal was my dad found the bus, he gets it there, my dad gets the parts he wants for it, and then the guy gets to scrap it, and he made 20 grand off of scrapping it, but my mom told him he had till the leaves were off the trees to get rid of the second bus. And my dad said to me, he says, "Man, I wish your mother was a little more understanding." I said, "A little more understanding? Most wives wouldn't let you get one bus. You got two."
Yeah.
And so he ended up selling that. And when we moved down here, he found a shorty school bus. It was a 71 Dodge. It was a short wheelbase. It was basically a 1-ton pickup truck with a little bus on the back. And that was really cool. Thing ran like a top. We got the thing home and ran like a top. He decided to sell it. And the day the guy was coming to pick it up, it wouldn't run. We spent hours on it. Then we finally got the thing up on the truck to haul it out of here. And we sent him over a way where it would be easier for him to get through. He cut a turn too close. The trailer slipped off the bank, and the truck was the bus was hanging at like a 45-degree angle. He showed up at like 5 or 6 to get the truck, and we weren't done with it until like 1 a.m. And so it's my dad, my mom, and my wife both said we can't have buses anymore.
I got a buddy of mine, when he was younger, he toured pretty hard singing music, and his dad had bought an early 70s GMC bus, the big bus. Like, you remember the GMC made the buses, and they unloaded the stuff, and the guy that was driving went to park the bus, and he decided to park it in a parking garage. And this one was one that you went down into the parking garage,
no.
put it up, and wedged it. Yeah, they about never got it out, man. He just wedged that thing in there. But yeah, that was the end of that tour.
My buddy had an old, it was a handicap school bus with the ramp on the side, the elevator, and it was just a short bus. He bought it. It was a Dodge van, like a 1-ton van with a big butt on the back, and it was they bought it for I think like $800 at auction, and they were using it just for their swap meet vehicle. They'd load parts in it and use the elevator lift to bring the big heavy stuff in, and
Right.
they thought they were living high on a hog with that thing. And we went down, we vented all weekend at this swap meet, and we were heading back. And we stopped at this one diner just before we'd split off, and we'd head our direction. They'd head home, and John pulls the bus in and stops, and then he pulls forward, and there's Earl, and Earl had these canes, clamped around his arms, and he's propping himself up, and he's just got this big shit-eating grin on his face, and he looks around, and he goes, his hair's messed up, and he goes, they just let me out of the loony bin. And he looks, there's an old lady sitting there smoking a cigarette outside this convenience store, and he goes, and I'm looking for a woman. And she looks out and takes a drag of the cigarette all calm and goes, not me, I'm married. He goes, so am I. And the whole time this is happening, John's in the back trying to park the bus, and you hear beep, beep. Just beep, and it was just what a bunch of nuts.
I love it. That's like that woman. I told you about that wreck I had up there at town. That my minivan, my boy ran into me, didn't I?
No.
Yeah, I got that. I thought my minivan you're making fun of. It's a cool minivan. It's a 93 Dodge Caravan. Anyway, we was up.
That don't go the same sentence. They call it minivan.
Minivan. You can't use that in the same sentence. You're not allowed to. Unless you're talking
Anyway,
like the AC blows cool in the minivan, you can say that, but you can't say cool minivan.
Okay. I went up to, I think I was going to your place or something. I can't remember. I was going up to Sean's or what it was. And Evan was supposed to pick me up. And we got up there at the square, and this lady stopped, and I stopped behind her, minding my own business. My boy's got a 93 Dodge pickup truck. He didn't stop. He just rammed me in the back of that car. I'm not kidding you, man. He hit me hard. And I didn't have my seatbelt on like you're supposed to have. So it rocked me all over the place. And time I got settled back in, I looked in the mirror, and he was laughing at me, and we figured, okay, that's the end of it. But I didn't realize he'd knocked me into the car in front, just enough to bumper, you know what I'm saying? And so we kind of settled back down and looked, and she was getting out of her car, man. She was getting out. She was tore up. So I thought, uh-oh, I can run over her. So I got out and walked over there. Boy, she was hateful. She said, I'm going to tell you right now. She said, I'm calling the law. I want your driver's license information. I want your insurance. I want this. I want that. And you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere till we figure out what's going on with all this. And I just looked at her straight in the eye, and I said, ma'am, please don't call 911. I said, I ain't got no insurance. I don't have any driver's license, and I just got out of jail. So she was tore up. So I said, well, let's just pull over here out of the way, because it didn't even hurt her car. I just barely bumped it, just enough for her to feel it. She said, we're not moving these cars. We're not moving these cars. We're not going anywhere till we figure out what's going on. So she calls 911, and she said, I've been rear-ended by a man in a white van, and he's threatening to drive away. So I'm not. I had 4 law. I had the ambulance. I had the fire trucks. I ain't never seen like the people I had there, man. I had everybody there. Of course, when they seen it was me, they all knew what was going on, She was tore up, man. But I told her, I said, I didn't have a lick of insurance or driver's license. I just got out of jail. So I thought, but she kind of cheered up after all that said. They told her who I was, but
have you got a letter in the mail from Motley and Associates yet?
Not yet. Yep.
Lawyer for Jewish room now.
You got to have fun with it. Well, fella, we about wasted this afternoon. I guess I got to get up and go to work. Y'all working tomorrow? What y'all doing? I know Copperhead, he's retired down there. He's got it made.
He's just waking up, right? You're coming up and going down.
So what time is? I get my time. What time is it down there? It's Sunday morning, or
it's 9:45.
And what day of the week are we at?
Monday.
Okay.
So you're that far ahead of us then. When you got New Year's, you're like way ahead of us on. So it's Monday morning.
Monday morning, yeah. So we're like 12 hours, different 12 hours in front of me. Whatever, 14 hours.
We're 7:45 right now.
Have you had a chance to look at that motor to see what you got?
No, not yet.
I'm anxious to see a video on that. You to start investigating and do a little video on that motor. You might get some pretty good hits on that.
I don't get hits on anything at the moment. I don't know what's going on with it, to tell you the truth, with the channel.
Yeah, I'm like you.
I watch these other guys, and they got no talent at all. They can't even service a car, and then I've just built a car in 6 months from nothing and for no money and from the paddock, and I just showed every talent that you can do in the car, like paint, fabrication, woodwork, upholstery, everything, and don't get any views. So I don't know.
I know what you need to do. You need to make a fake sponsor, like you're getting sponsored fakely, then see people will really think you're real big then. They'll start watching it.
There you go.
That's,
I don't
Like-
know. I'm getting 20 views on a video at the moment. I
Yeah.
don't understand it.
Well,
It's weird, man. I don't get it
If
either.
you-
So, it's the same thing with all that social media stuff. You post something and you get a bunch of hits on it, and you think, okay, I'm onto something now, and then all of a sudden it just peters off to nothing.
yeah.
It's
Like,
Yeah, I was
you
getting
say-
1,000 views on everything, like, or even more, and then now I'd get nothing. So I don't know.
I'm
It
like
gets,
you.
it gets me down sometimes, like, because a lot of effort
I
goes
just
into
power
it.
through. But I got an idea for you to do, especially since you've been doing some of them silly views. Pretend like since pretend like Crisco's sponsoring you and pack your wheel bearings with Crisco. So, yeah, I reckon this will work for wheel bearing grease. Just pack it in there.
You talking about all them silly videos doing. My daddy always said, and he said he didn't use antifreeze in his cars. He used spring water. He said, you've never
Right.
seen a spring freeze. He said he always used spring water because it won't freeze.
I don't know. That I find them funny anyway. Me and my mate, when we do them, we have a good day when we do that. Anyway, we laugh our heads off when we make those videos. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got it, man. That's fun.
They got to be.
I
I don't know, man. I don't know what the ticket is, and I guess I'm doing it more for fun than anything. And it's kind of like, we get to watch the thing. How many subscribers do you have right now? Where are you at on that?
don't know, 1,500 something.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, pretty close.
Yeah, I think you see, like, but I was miles in front, so I don't know. It's like I don't understand it.
But I
Then
got
I'm
bored.
like, there's this other channel.
You guys
I
are both beating me, man. I only got 246. So, or
This bloke had 200, and I watched him, like, I was in the thousands, and he had 200, and his videos are absolutely atrocious. Like, he's like some American redneck biker.
Now, wait a minute. I'm sitting right here. Don't talk about me. Wait till I'm gone.
Like, and his videos are shocking, and he's up flying past us. Like, he's getting 10,000 views on a video, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I said to the wife, maybe I need to do really shit videos. Like,
well, I guess you can also pay for views.
Can we ask who this guy is, or is that something you want to say?
oh, I don't know. I don't really want to say anything.
All right. Well, you can email me. I want to check it out. That's
Yeah,
right.
have a look.
You can buy subscribers and stuff. No, I don't want to do it that way. That's kind of cheating if you ask me.
No, but then
Yeah,
if
you know,
you get
dude.
caught about that, then they'll demonetize you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You're not allowed to do that. Like, we're monetized, so if we were to do that, they would could kill our channel.
oh yeah, yeah.
You talking
Yeah, I
about?
don't do that.
I think I'm at 300 or just under or just over 300, but I've had my channel, I think, for damn near 10 years, and that's all.
Yeah, mine's 10 years old. I got 266 people on it now.
But I
Well,
think that YouTube is the one that's responsible for it, because they, I think maybe if you put some Biden stickers in the background, you might get more. You're in their algorithm more. Is what I think it might
Well, that's
be.
what it's all to do with that algorithm, isn't it? And I've been trying to study that, and then like watching other shows that talk about it and what to do. And I've tried all these different things, and none of it's done anything. Like,
Yeah, see, I don't think
posting
that's
videos at certain times. and-
I like watching your channel. I like watching. I mean, I like all of you, but I mean, I really. My main thing is the Australian voice, man. I think that adds to the video, especially being up here
Yeah.
in America. But now, when I look at my analytics on my thing, I got like 20% of the people watching my videos are in Brazil. I'm thinking, what the heck? They're watching them in Brazil because it tells where everybody's watching.
Yeah, I've got people
I-
from everywhere, mainly America. Mine is sort of. I was trying to target the American audience more, like,
Right.
than an Australian audience, like, because here you got to go buy a stinking Holden or a Falcon and put a turbo on it and go do a burnout, and then you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Oh,
not
see,
into.
You see that here too, man. It's between the LS swaps and the it's all the I appreciate the new stuff for what it does. The Hellcats and stuff. I probably would really like having one, but it's just weird for me to go to a show and see 20 Hellcats that are all the same except for the color, and then 20 new Mustangs. It's just like
I'm not
It
into
does
that.
nothing. That does nothing
They're
for
just,
me.
you
It's
know,
like,
they're fast and everything, but there's no, if you're to the point where you have to just put stickers on your car to make it different, then that's not what I'm about, you know. And I always like the older stuff, and like I said, I can appreciate the new stuff, and the performance is amazing, but there's something about rescuing something old and bringing it back, and either improving upon it, customizing, or even just getting it up and running again, and seeing that out on the road. You know, it's
Yeah.
One
it's
of these days, I'm going to get one of them, like my 71 300 or what. I'm going to hit Route 66, or at least a little bit of Route 66. You know,
that'd be
you
cool.
can't get more American than Route 66. And
Yeah.
I've even seen some commercials running. They're starting to revive and make that to where people want to drive their cars to where they'll hit Route 66. They're reviving some of the
Yeah.
old businesses and stuff.
They're starting to realize there's actually a huge push on restoring the old neon signs and getting them up and running again too. You know, so it's I think it's finally, you know, there was always a subculture, but every once in a while, goes through a cycle where all of a sudden it'll kind of breathe new life into it, and you'll get somebody that'll try to revitalize it. So I'm hoping it catches this time, because that whole thing could really be a national monument, because that was our first, you know.
Oh yeah.
Highway.
Well, I just think it's our generation, or the interested in it. That's kind of what's firing it up. That's what takes it. It takes people that's interested in that. And I'm just like y'all, you know, growed up watching all the old stuff about Route 66, and I'd like to go out there and cruise that too. You know, I think it'd be cool.
How old are you guys now?
I'm 26.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the same age.
what am I? I'm 47.
Yeah, I'm 46. So it's kind of, and even the stuff I was interested in was different, you know, like compared to what my buddies were into. They liked the newer stuff than I did, and when it came to drag racing, other than Kenny Bernstein and John Force, I really didn't know hardly any of the new drivers. I always knew all the old drivers. You know, I knew Arnie Beswick and Don Garlitz and all the guys that set the records in the 60s and 50s. I kind of missed that my own generation. I kind of always gravitated towards the stuff that was done and over with by I was born, you know.
I'm 52 now. Whenever back in the 80s, they had somebody at school, and anyway, I can't remember who it was, but they gave out, and I've still got it. I carried it for years, so it's a little rough, but you remember it was a little GTX, Castrol GTX oil and keychain thing, and it's just it's just a piece of wire that's bent, and then that thing pulls in and out. You know, you pull that little center plastic piece out, and you slip keys on that wire, and then pop that thing back in. And I actually got that thing before I even had a car, back whenever I was about 14 or 15. But I carried it every day for years. Keep my house key on it before I got a car when I was a kid. And
I got that little piston. Some guy was making them, and it's a short rod piston now. It broke. I had to re-drill the pin and shorten the rod on it to go. But I got that when I was like 15, and a bunch of other people started making them after this guy did. And I've never seen a twin to it, but that journal's getting pretty wiped.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's been on my keychain since before I could drive.
That's a piston out of a Yugo, ain't it?
I think so. Yeah.
yeah, maybe I need to do a video on the Yugo that I've got. I'd like
to
get
one still?
Yeah, I got a Yugo.
And you making fun of my minivan? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And hey, this is the deluxe model. It's got AC and all.
Yeah, I know that, right? You had
Conrad,
you run AC downhill. You can't.
No, I don't know what they are.
They're Yugoslavian vehicles, and they sold them here as little budget cars for a while, and they were so bad they got banned from being sold in the United States because the build quality was so
They
bad.
actually, that Dyer and Dyer Volvo gave one away when you bought a Volvo. They gave you you got a Yugo with it.
There was in Hemi's Motor News about a decade ago. There was a Yugo convertible for sale for like $8,000.
Wow.
And I was like, man, they were like $40 when they were new.
Yeah. The joke was
that would have been $40 Canadian.
Why do they put rear window defrosters on Yugos? And the punchline is to keep your hands warm in the wintertime when you're pushing it.
There's a
my buddy's dad had one, and he always would tell me how good it was. I'm like, you can't convince me.
I think they had 3 lug nuts. Didn't they have 3 lug nuts?
Something like that.
No,
yeah.
that was the Le Car from
the
France.
Le Car, that's right. I remember that's a little French thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another big piece of junk.
Hey, Copperhead, if you ain't ever, just Google the Yugo car and then
Yeah, I
get a
will.
little bit. And there's a YouTube channel that I like watching. He's not consistently putting out videos, but he's got some good videos. It's I Hate Fuel Injections, the name of it. He's up there in Pennsylvania, but he's putting a Harbor Freight twin engine thing in that Yugo right now. He had a series of videos, and I hadn't seen one where he's finished it yet. But he's also got a video where he went to the drag strip up there, and they had like a '78 Ford Granada. One of his friends did at that drag strip. And then they've got one of them 6-cylinder Ford engines that they build down there in Australia, turboed. And I think
Yeah, the Barras.
yeah, I think that Granada was running like 8 or 9 second quarters.
Wow.
That thing was
Yeah.
wicked. And but the way they kept that car, it still looks like just a regular old grandma Ford Granada, but it's out there just with the inline 6 in it.
Yeah, those motors, they're scary.
Yeah, we never did get them motors offered to us. No Fords in the United States ever got one of them 6-cylinder engines.
No, they're scary, those things. 4 liter straight 6, and they turbo them. So I had one. If you look at some of my first videos, there was like a little intro thing. I had a little collage of different cars and stuff. And there's a purple Ute, and that had that motor in it, and that was 1,000 horsepower, that thing. So
Well, no, they that's about like, I mean, y'all do them things like they do the LS swaps up here, don't they?
yeah, they put, well, the same. They do the LS everything here as well. Yeah, so the Ford people put Barras in, or they pulled Barras, the motor. That's what they call them, because they first come out in a BA Falcon. So the Ford people put them in everything, and the Holden people put the LSs in everything.
So now, how are they pretty expensive in engines? Are they pretty expensive, or are they pretty plentiful?
The turbo ones, yeah. Also, there's three different ones. There's a standard petrol one. Then there's a one that was built, so that has a silver top, so a silver rocker cover. Then there's another one that has a red rocker cover. That's the turbo motor, so it has different internals in it, different rods and stuff. And then there's one with a green top that was made for LPG. You know, LPL, like gas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's a good one too, because they have all stronger rods and everything in them. So,
Right.
but the red tops and the green tops are worth big dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, did the
But like
LS,
an LS, yeah, an LS is like 8 or 10 grand.
did they catch on down there like instant like they did in the States?
What's
Because
that?
Did the LS motors catch on pretty instantly like they did in the States, or did it take a while before
It took a little while, and then like it's probably been the last 2 years they've gone absolutely through the roof. So a few years ago, I used to do Commodore Utes with the SS. They're called SSs, so they were the ones that had the LSs in them. I used to buy them at auction, smashed, and fix them up, and I would sell them for like $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah.
All beautiful, like locade, everything, and now they fetch like 10 grand, smashed up, never to hit the road again at the auction.
Here it was like the LSs came out and made the traditional small block Chevy pretty much obsolete. It was the LS did to the small block what the small block did to the flathead Ford. You know?
Well, that's what's happened. That's what's happened now. So now you can go pick up like my little 283. I think I paid $700 for that, and it was a runner, right? But I opened it up and just gave it a refresh. And like same with the little 6 that I put in that Bedford, like that was motor and trans was $500. So because they're ripping them all out of all of the old Holdens and stuff, they're pulling all the motors out, and everyone's putting LSs in everything. So
yeah, that's what we were at.
When
the show
are you going
yesterday.
to put
We're
that
walking down,
Bedford up?
and people were pointing at, you know, you started. It was funny years ago. People would see a small block Chevy. Oh, look at that, another small block Chevy in a street rod. Now people, oh, look, an old small block. Like it's, you know, and it just kind of cracks me up. And it was funny when everybody started complaining about the small block being in everything. But the small block, you know, I remember one guy was like, "Oh man, you know, the small blocks are in everything. I want to see something more nostalgia, like a 302 Ford." I was like, "Dude, 302s came out in the '60s. The small block Chevy came out in '55. So, you know, the small block Chevy mill was a traditional, you know, old school motor for a long time. But you know, now, so you see LSs and everything so much that now when you see a big block Chevy, you know, small people get turned on by a small block a little bit, but when you see a big block in something, when you expect it, you know, you expect to see a LS, it's like, now all of a sudden that nostalgia muscle car stuff is getting way cool all over again. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I was never an LS fan. Like I put an LS in a race car and blew it up in the first race. Like,
Really?
yeah, I was never a fan of them because they have an issue in I think it's number 5 getting oiled at number 5. So when you're putting it into a race condition, like you had to they were just, for me, like they were hand grenades. Like you had to actually go through and drill out one of the journals and open it up bigger to get the good oil pressure, I think, on 5 and 6. So 5 and 6 always had a bit less oil pressure than the rest. And yeah, putting them into a race condition, they were time bombs.
Yeah.
Unless you did that to them. So they were like, one bloke, you run him and he would blow 2 up every year.
Wow.
So I was never a real fan of them like that. But then now I don't know whether they've counteracted that, whether that was the early ones, I don't know. But now everyone makes ridiculous power out of them, so I don't know.
But they're an ugly engine. You know, if you have to come up with a cover to cover your valve cover to make your coils look better.
Oh, they look hideous. Like you put them in a hot rod and then they look hideous.
Yeah. You got to do a lot to make them look good. You know, and like you take a small block Chevy, big block Chevy, you know, an old nailhead, a flathead. They're just a good looking engine. You know, they got it. It's like a valve cover to intake ratio or something is right. You know, they're just a good stylish looking engine. You dress them up good. When you pop the hood, you see it. I always thought it was funny that, you know, you build an engine and then slap a plastic cover over it to hide it. You know, it's like, I mean, I want to see it. I want to see that engine.
Well, I mean, honestly, how much power do you need in a hot rod? You're not going. I mean, you're going to lay a drag every now and then, but you're not going to hot rod.
I think
it's called a hot rod, but you're really not going to hot rod.
Realistically, when it comes right down to it, the fun factor is 500 like 300 to 500 horsepower.
Right.
Because after 500 horsepower, parts get extremely expensive. You know, it's easy to make over 500 horsepower. But to get a transmission that can handle 500 horsepower is now $1,000 more than the transmission that can handle 500 or less. You know, it's then if you want to go overdrive, it's even more than that. You know, now you got to go with better axles, you got to go with a better drive shaft. So it's really that 500 horse mark is your fun factor mark. You know, the dollar per fund is cheaper 500 horse and down. And once you press that 500, it just gets more and more expensive. And
well, what's the guy's name that's got that little Honda S2000 or whatever it is? He put that.
Oh, Ronnie. Yeah, Ronnie. That car's pretty wild.
I'd hate to drive that thing, man. I'm like,
his wife hates him to drive it.
What is in there?
Like it's so he's got that. It's a 5.7 Z06 Corvette engine. So they're 405 horse stock. He's got it worked and he's got it cammed up pretty good. And he added a supercharger and nitrous to it, and it's in a little S2000. You know, little
Honda S2000. I don't know if y'all have that, but it's like a little bitty convertible.
Yeah. The little convertible ones.
Yeah, he's got. That's what he's got in that little car.
So is it stupid fast?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, he can't use all the power. It sounds. The car is. I'm not into Hondas of any way whatsoever, but that car is cool. It's
cool. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
It
looks good. Black. He's got a lot of nice red detail. Red interior. The supercharger sticks up through the hood and is red. He's got exhaust cutouts on it. The thing sounds mean and nasty, and it goes like crazy. And you know, it's he finally got axles that can handle the power of it. But wow. I don't think he'd be able to put the power down at all. I don't think it would ever hook up. You know,
I don't think so.
It's cool, and he drives it. He drives it all over the place. 6-speed transmission out of a Camaro. You know, it's got independent rear suspension, and there's probably more Chevy in it than there is Honda now. And it's just a mean little car.
It's wicked looking.
Them things with the stock engine, they was up towards 300 horse, wasn't they?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that little.
Yeah, I think they were pretty good.
Yeah, they're a pretty fast little car, even in their stock condition. But of course, they ain't gonna have the torque like that V8's got.
Yeah. This thing's supercharged and nitrous fed, and it's you know, he can blow the tires off in any gear, probably at about any speed too. With it, you know, because he's got, you know, it's a decent tire for an S2000, but it's not a, you know, not a real big tire. So, and with the power he's making, I imagine he's probably, without the nitrous, he's probably still around 650 to 700 horse. I would imagine.
See, what I'm in the middle of doing right now is I've been reading and doing research. I'm assuming that this tunnel ram 440 that I'm going to be putting in satellite will be roughly 500 horses is what I'm thinking it's going to be, 500 or below. But see, I'm looking at clutches, you know, trying to pick out the right clutch to put in it, and see it's got that SFI flywheel in it. And then I've got to read up to see if they may be able to work on that billet flywheel.
Yeah.
You know, because the regular cast flywheel, that puck style clutch, I don't really know which way I'm going to go. I don't know if organic is the way to go, or if I were to go with that metallic, you know, puck style.
Let me ask you this: you guys ever get into your car like my Willie's? That's about 600 horse, and I'll do wheelies on the street, and I love it. But sometimes, don't you wish you just like things left alone?
Yep.
Sometimes you go, you know, why do I have to mess with this all the time?
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't it be nice just to?
I don't know what this tunnel ram's going to be like, you know, getting the carburetors dialed in, but
That's easy.
If you know, but I don't. It's not going to be so radical that I think that it'll be, once I get it tuned just right, that it's not going to see. I done got the Dana 60 in it, so I'm not worried about a rear end. I'm not going to put slicks on it, you know.
Hook and brake stuff is as long as you spin, you won't break anything.
Right.
I don't know, man. I just like a mild cam and a nice little 4-barrel and cold air conditioning. That's what I'm about.
Well, it's like that my 32, that 283, it's just built stock. So I'll just put an intake and a carby on it and extractors, and that's it. It's just dead stock, but fresh. But it's going in a fiberglass 32. I can pick up the body with one hand.
Oh,
Two of us can carry the chassis, but the thing will weigh absolutely nothing. I reckon, honestly, in full driving down the street, you could come up to the back of it and grab the chassis and lift it up like a wheelbarrow. So
your power to weight is still going to be probably around a 10-to-1 power to weight ratio. So that's a good right there. That's that sweet spot. You know, that 10-to-1 or less is great.
Yeah, so I still think like that little stock motor is going to have plenty in that car.
Oh,
yeah. Well, stock 283 2-barrel was what, 190 horse. So if
yes, it's not going to be big horsepower, but the car weighs. Weighs like a motorbike.
You do a mild cam intake and stuff, you're probably get 2.25, 250 horse, maybe even 280 horse out of it. That would be funny.
Yeah. I got tickled today. We went out to eat, and there was a square body Chevrolet there this guy had painted up, and whenever him and his wife he's an older feller, when they cranked it up and got ready to leave, we had took the Ram Charger out today and was in that Ram Charger, but anyway, he cranked that thing up, and I don't know if it was a small block or big block, but I mean, it had one hell of a motor in it. It was, you could tell it from the way that it was rattling the windows and everything. And the truck had a nice paint job and everything, but I'm sitting there just about scratching my head. Why would somebody put that in a 4-wheel drive truck? What can you do in a 4-wheel drive truck that needs, 500 or more horsepower? To me, because you can't really do anything with it. You're going to bust a transfer case, or I'd be worried about busting something out of the truck all the time.
It's really it was same thing with drag racing. Is 1150s. If you go quicker than 1150s in the quarter, you need a roll bar. So really, 1150 or slower is cost per fun is as fast as you're going to go. Then you don't a basic helmet and basic safety gear, you're good to go. You start going faster than that, and then you get the roll bar, and then you're going to have pipe harnesses.
I think on that drag racing, especially when you're talking about bracket racing, there's two kind of guys. There's two kind of guys out there. There's guys that want to look a certain way while they're drag racing, and then there's guys that just want to win while they're drag racing. And that Mopar versus World, where they paid out $2,000 a couple of weeks ago, that guy out there run it in a Cavalier.
Really? They're consistent and slow as can be. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My buddy had an El Camino that ran 17 ones, and he won trophies all the time with it. He said he'd drive right through the water, wouldn't do a burnout, pull up to the line, left it in drive, light would turn green. He'd just whack the throttle on that last yellow. By the time the car reacted, it was green, and he was off, and he went, and he'd get such a big head start that everybody would break out running against him. And he just 17-1 every time he went out there, and it was just dead consistent.
And I bet he didn't touch a spark plug or nothing while he was there, did he?
No, he went all season without doing anything. Just drive it up and run it through.
That's
You
my
see
kinda
these
race.
guys out there doing plug readings, and
Yeah.
the air density altitude, I better, we better back it off, or we better lean it out, or richen it up, or something, out there. Nah, just crank it up and go, man.
We saw a light blue Ford Escort win at Lebanon Valley Dragway one time. It ran 20.2 seconds. And he went round after round after round. That car at 20.2 seconds, he'd get the jump because he'd get the handicap. He'd be down almost at the starting or finish line when they finally turned this guy loose. It was like his top speed was like 53 miles an hour or something ridiculous. He'd get down there and this guy broke out. Every single time, and they could,
I guarantee he had just as much fun as them guys with 1,000 horsepower cars.
So he was grinning. Everybody else was pissed on him.
Brother, we got to get off this. We've been on here for over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I'll keep up with everybody's videos. I don't know what we got. I got a video we're going to do. Hopefully this week I'm going to get him. My dad, y'all don't know him, but it's Morris Phillips, and he has done everything from Outrun the Law to you name it. So we're going to set him down and let him tell some stories from back in the day when he grew up. I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, that'll be good.
My favorite thing when you unearthed that old was that the 4950 Ford from the garage that was up on the lift. The coolest part of that video was listening to your dad talk about some of the stories where he tipped the car on the side on the ditch over on such and such a road or something.
Well, here's the thing, though, and the reason I know that this stuff's true because I have other people telling me the same stories that were there. So, some people get their imagination and their memory mixed up. You know what I'm saying? Because they make up stuff as they go. But I know this stuff is fact. He had that 57 Plymouth Fury with 2 4s on that thing, man. He used to outrun the law all over the place here. Because
do you still have that car?
Yeah, he's got it up here. And
really cool.
One of the videos I've got it on. We've got my boy. We're up on the mountain. When I tell you we got 100 cars, I'm probably not exaggerating. We probably got 100 cars here. We was up there looking yesterday. I've been up there cleaning off on the side of the mountain, trying to get it looking nice and getting all cleaned out where some of the cars are parked. And my boys up there. We got 265 Plymouth Furies. We got 165 Plymouth Fury convertible sitting up there. We've got a Chrysler 300. I'm just trying to think of some of the 64 Dodge 880, which is a 70 Corvette RT, 70, probably a 75 Fury. The 2-door square Furies they made, like the Dukes of Hazzard cop cars, but it's a 2-door.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We got that Cadillac Eldorado up there Eldorado convertible 74. I'm just trying to name right off the top of my head what's up there, But that 65 Plymouth Fury, Daddy bought it brand new. It's a 33 factory Hearst 4-speed car. Okay. And he bought that in 1965 because it's brand new, but there was a held over 64 Dodge Sports Fury, but he didn't want it because it's automatic, but it was a Hemi. But he bought the 383 4-speed car.
Passed on the Hemi. Can you believe that?
Passed on the Hemi. Yeah, passed on the Hemi. But we're going to talk to him about this. I think that'd be pretty neat to talk to him because, like I said, he's back in the day, he done some really fun stuff, that nowadays they'd put you in prison for.
Yeah. Well, you fellers have a good week. It's good
you too.
Talking with you.
Yeah. I'm going to bed. And I reckon Copperhead, he's got to make him a video out there. It's morning time down there. Monday morning.
Yeah.
How is Monday morning? He gets to see it before we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know how Monday is.
Yeah.
I will. We got to experience it tomorrow.
All right, y'all. Be good.
See you guys.
Yes.